damage if they took damage. You saw Spear down to a sliver of HP at one point to start the game, so just because you're contested, just because you win, doesn't mean it's all joy at the end of the day. But you were right. It does look like their first attempt is going to be to out-heal it, but 17 players need to go down. They're just on that line, 45 damage. If they took damage, Spear down to get one of those HP at one point to start the game. So just because you're contested, just because you win, doesn't mean it's 60 below at the end of the day. They have no extra heal monster in this moment. They are going to jump above. 17 players need to go down. Just on that line, 45 damage. If they took just because they're ahead here, doesn't mean they're going to be ahead in the next zone.
They were looking uncharacteristically positioned on the backside zone. You can see it's playing out in their favor. They're trying to heal in here, and they rotate in this maybe right afterward. But when you start looking up towards height, when you start looking at who's trying to position for the big win once again here, it's Clicks, Quien, and Higgs. I love that they're trying to take on this identity as a high ground team, and when they want to put everything on the line, because
many instances yesterday with team after team after team sending it for that high ground trying to fight. Pagers was one of them, but it's not going to be one of them in this game. 77 below the damage threshold by himself. Tries to sneak shot in on Jar's angle. Really doesn't find any luck there. He resisting. He is out of heal. 165 HP. Only take about 8 ticks of this zone total. Even if he was full health, those ticks are being a huge difference maker, forcing him to try to make a play here. 145, he's going to be able to make it above on that last one because of the shockwave of somebody else. Now it's his turn to try to shockwave in. He takes that same amount of damage. The blessing here, though, monster for him is Storm Surge just deactivated.
That's right, we are inside that top 40 from the high ground, though. Clicks and Higgs doing exactly what they do best, already finding several sets of elimination, little extra damage onto what looked to be Curve and Higgs there, but while we look away, Zen tries to come up here. This is, of course, Bucky and Zen trying to make a play for height, but Clicks and Higgs shut it down, and they remain successfully in control here at the moment. Now, do keep in mind, they committed very early here, and they didn't have max material. All that they're trying to do right now is show that they are willing to dominate height here and play for the win.
Yeah, Higgs finally getting that elimination, getting cleaned up for Bucky. Looking towards the backside of the zone, trying to find Loop. Instead, he finds Tyler Chance. Not sure if they see Peterbot and Poyo either. They're going to shockwave to the front. Not just yet going for height. We still got a few more zones for that to be a possibility. But if you look at their material count, they might have to get an elimination first. Muzz and Sphinx are the above. Acorn and Bolts down below in the mud. Find themselves 2 more eliminations here. Acorn not getting one, so no Cypher for him. So he has to beeline into the zone. Not a lot on the Chug Jug either. So a dangerous position here for Acorn to be in.
And there's opponents in the storm as well. Bolts is somewhat left behind here, trapped in the build. Meanwhile, Cold and Rapido, a single Elan, but this is where we've seen them do best. I won't count Cold out any further, as I've done that once before, and I made the mistake by saying so. Veno, Curve on the other side, have 4 eliminations. Pressure coming in here. This is what we wanted to see from Veno and Curve. Yesterday, they just couldn't quite figure out their end game and find their footing. But now, here we are, seeing a stronger than ever Venom.
And they have almost maxed out materials compared to everybody else. Peterbot and Poyo running out, trying to get into the box. They don't find any opportunities there, so they just continue on getting to the front side of the zone. Chug Jugs, pizzas. Poyo has plan B ready if it does come down to it. But high ground gets contested. Clicks falls. Higgs being forced out of zone. It's Salt and enough. A whole new team entering into the mix, ready to make day number 2 count here. They already have those 3 eliminations. They're looking up, making sure nobody else is up there. They don't see anybody, so they immediately set their eyes back to down low, and that was the distraction. That was the mistake. Flying from outside of the zone, Curve and Veno are now our new teams on high ground.
Excellent execution as well for practice to putting it into play here. Curve and Veno have the high ground here. No heals though, so we'll keep an eye on them. Poyo is down and out. Peterbot left to clutch this up by himself. He makes it right into the top 10. It's a little bit of HP there, but unfortunately will fall just short. Now Curve and Veno assessing the situation here. They have mats to play with. They have the height and the distance from the rest of the opponents, but can they put the pressure down?
Yeah, coming into this game in 10th place on the leaderboard, not where they have hoped. And one thing we were both questioning is what is going wrong in their mid to end games, because if they can make it there, they can make the plays happen. And they're showing it here early in game number 1. Cold and Rapid get pushed.
Cold goes down, a sacrifice for Rapid. He gets the elim, he's trying to get out. Wagers goes down to Muzz and Sphinx. This is just chaos ensuing on the low ground. And for Muzz and Sphinx, they might be the only duo left alive down below. Because Rapid goes out, Allo goes down. They have full control of the bottom side of the map.
Now, if they can just get a little bit of material here off one of these refreshes, they'll be in huge shape here to actually fight for the win right now. There it is, the most important elim. Veno and Curve are really down and out. They're pretty much down bad here. This is going to come down to all accuracy.
See Veno just trying to use the audio visuals. The mythic pump takes down Sphinx, gets the Cypher, or at least he's trying to keep himself alive, playing Disruptor against Muzz. Curve and Veno start day number 1, game 7 on fire.
And Veno is that guy. He's the guy that we knew that coming into a second day, he's going to tweak the game plan. He's going to make sure he's going to be able to perform here, Jacob. And they did just that. What a win for them right there. They're going to wrap up the first game here on the second day. Game 7, Zeke, is now officially wraps.
Veno! Veno, no way! Did I just see that insane shot? Veno, oh, I cannot believe this, guys. I thought to myself, game 1 has to start strong, right? Like, game 1 of 6 today has to start strong. And Curve and Veno get a 9 elim victory royale. Kelly, I'm losing it.
Yes, you are, but they aren't. And I think that there was a lot of us wondering if they were losing it after day number 1, ending the day off in 10th place, which, you know, reasonably isn't that bad of a position. But when it's Curve and Veno, we were kind of expecting them to be in the top 5 after day number 1. But if they continue to play like this, Vivid, if they're able to run that mid game and then wait for the opportune moment to steal height, just like they did in game number 7, then I can imagine we'll be seeing Curve and Veno climbing up that leaderboard as the day goes on.
I mean, Veno coming over to NA, he was one of those players that people were kind of expecting to see up on the high ground, and that conversation kind of fizzled out. It felt like kind of, you know, coming into these grand finals, Clifton Higgs, Peterbot, and Pollo, they were the 2 main contenders that everybody was kind of talking about, and it feels like in game number 7, we get to see exactly why those initial thoughts of Veno looking to control the high ground were even a thing to begin with. And I gotta tell you, this is very, very scary for this grand finals and everybody that was above Veno and Curve at the start of today. Because yesterday in day number 1, they did not have any singular game where they got better than 10th place. This was their first time jumping into the single digits of placements, and they win it. And they look disgusting. I mean, that shot right there from Veno, you guys couldn't see me. My jaw was literally as far down as it possibly could go. He looks like he's in form right now. The duo's looking good. They made it to the end game all the way, and they were on the high ground. I don't know. I'm scared.
Oh my gosh, this is why sometimes we talk about like day 2 teams, right? Day 2, they come back even stronger. Has Veno been set free? Is he off the leash? Is he going crazy? Oh, wow. Okay. Don't worry. We still have 5 games left to go. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, you know we have to take a look at those standings because there's been some changes. We'll see you in just a minute.
Watch me arrive. And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
Welcome back, Fortnite fam, to the FNCS game 1 of the day. 7 overall goes over to Curve and Benno. 9 elim. Victory Royale. Now, I mentioned before the break, these standings are good as shift. Kelly called out, yeah, Curve and Benno were in the top 10. You know, that's kind of crazy. But, you know, Kelly, it just takes one game of Fortnite to kind of change everything around. And, of course, wouldn't you know it, Curve and Benno have actually jumped up from that 10th place. 327 points. I guess, Kelly, without spoiling it, where do you think they landed? I'm going to answer for you. Top 5!
Okay, top 5. That's just what we were talking about. And
Good
you
answer,
can
good
see
answer.
that calling from Sundown from many years ago, the shoopening is happening right now. From 1st to 5th place, we have around a 71-point difference, and we know that 71 points is easily gained in a single game, Vivid. So to see Curve and Benno, who are at the bottom of this list in page number 1, jump up all the way, I feel like not only inspires me, but also inspires the rest of the lobby to do the same.
Yeah, huge for them to go ahead and do this. And coming into today, Kelly kind of already talked about how many points they are behind right now. Coming into today, after the first 6 games on day number 1, Curve and Benno, when they were sitting in 10th place, and Corner Rapid were sitting in 1st, 113 points was the difference between Benno and Curve and 1st place after day number 1. Like Kelly mentioned, they're now 71 points behind, which means that they closed the gap that game by 42 points. So technically speaking, if we were to run that exact game number 7 back 2 more times, Curve and Benno would be in 1st place right now. Anything's possible. These standings are a lot closer than it currently may seem. And Zeke, can we just talk about this elimination column? How in the heck are these guys leading right now? They have 40 eliminations.
They are getting active, Vivid. That is what's crazy, right? The overall placement they have may not be the craziest, right? But I mean, when you have 40 eliminations, 40, they have an average placement of 17, but it doesn't matter, right? This is what that difference maker was of that additional point from elims. But guys, also just look at this leaderboard, right? Look at the little numbers right next to their placement, right? We see Golden Rapid, Acorn and Bolts, they swap places, but everyone else besides Benno and Curve have not moved, right? That top 6 right before they jumped in here are all pushing forward together. It's so insane. I mean, even look at like Peterbot and Pollo and Clicks and Higgs, and now we also have to look at Javi and Aminish, because Clicks and Higgs are now tied with them points wise, but Peterbot and Pollo are only 10 points ahead of them. I just can't believe how close all of this has become after a single game, Kelly.
Yeah, and I mean, we're taking a quick look at Peterbot and Pollo right now, and that looked actually like that could have been a very successful game for them. However, Peter was a solo player towards the end right there and did go down, I believe, in 9th place. There was a moment in that game, though, where it looked like they were taking a peek up onto Height. They saw that it was Clicks and Higgs, and for sure I thought they were going to go and steal for Height again. But it didn't look like it went that way for them, Vivid. However, it does seem like they're already starting to change up their strategy just a little bit from what we saw from day number 1. So I can expect some more changes as well as the day goes on.
Yeah, I saw a little bit more aggressive plays out of them. I mean, we're kind of used to that in past seasons. It looked like they were going for a couple of extra fights, but I mean, once again, we jump over them when they're in the end game, and they just have nothing, you know, no builds to kind of work with. Not sure what's happening on some of those rotates to where they have to invest so much stuff, but we have not been able to see Peter and Pollo be healthy enough in the end game to kind of push for any of these victory royales.
You know, and it's tough because this is just the first game of the day. We have 5 more, but we also can't really skip a beat, can we, baby? Like, we need to make sure now more than ever we are minimizing those little mistakes or whatever. Like, again, look at the top of the leaderboard, right? We came in, Acorn and Bolts was 1 point ahead. Because of this last game, Acorn and Bolts fell in 12th place with only 2 elims. You look up, Cold and Rapid, a 4th place with 3. This is going to come down to this over like the next 5 games, right, Kelly? A single mistake. Everybody is taking steps farther and farther up the leaderboard. A single mistake will suddenly shift everything. And enough of those chained together, suddenly the point thresholds are going to see that patented shooting like Sundown called out.
Well, you say these single mistakes, and I think a reflection of that is that you can't just have these teams that are kind of playing a little passively, right? They're going for placements, maybe they get a handful of eliminations. You need these teams that are able to pull out these pop-off games, and that is why Cold and Rapid, although they might not be having these wins that all these other teams in our top 5 are having, they did have that 11 elimination 2nd place, so these pop-off games are now what's going to be separating our top from the rest of the lobby.
Golden Rapid, man, they continue to be consistent. They're trying to pull away. A couple of teams are on the hunt. 5 more games to do it.
Oh, man, let's get right back into it. Game 8 is ready. So, casters, take it away.
Monson, they're talking about 5 games left. It almost feels like that's a lot of time. But you and I both know these games will go quick. We already seen accelerated game 1 in terms of eliminations.
Yeah, definitely. That game 1 started off so fast. We looked up, 76 players were left in the lobby. There was no first kind of surge warning that we're really used to seeing with ED+. So we just kind of jumped into the mid game and things were so different. The dynamic, you can tell, is already shifting. You know, there's something new in the air here, and our top teams are starting to break away. So let's just go on the battle bus one more time.
Standings are just getting so much closer than ever before, and you can even look down to that the top 5 players in damage. Curve and Venom are as stacked as the race of those 5 leaderboards. Both of these guys are firing all cylinders, and this is what we were going spots throughout the day, but Curve and Venom, and I was kind of looking at some of those stats. The top 5 players in damage. Curve and Venom are 2 of those 5 players. Both of these guys are firing all cylinders, and this is when we were going into the heat monster. I'm talking about the makeup of this team. Obviously, the accolades aren't there on Curve. It reminds me so much of that Queasy and Venom duo that dominated EU for so long.
A lot of flight risk, bro.
Definitely see it, and you know, we called it out at several different points last time. Game 1, Curve and Venom's ability to ambush multiple teams at different vending machines was honestly commendable, and then we tune in like game 3 or 4, and they have like 7 elims in the early game, so clearly they have figured that part out. And if today it's all end games with Venom and Curve, I mean, all they've been doing all season long is practicing psychoing for height and dominating, right? And hey, this is the 3rd time now Venom basically makes an end game, 2 of which he went for high ground. So he's showing us if he's got a shot at it, they're gonna take it.
Seeing so many teams really kind of emerge and their game plan set in stone, but these quick off-spawn fights really prove to kind of be the difference maker. Taking Mafia against Jack and NPen, already 1 elimination being cleaned up by NPen. Mafia is going to be the one going down, but they kind of switch up their drop spot a little bit. It's not too far away from the split drop towards the left, but they're actually full committing to the south side of Frigid Fortress this time around. Not sure if it's a bus path change or an overall game plan adjustment, but for Jack and NPen, that might be the difference maker. But you got to be careful because you got Minished on the other side, you got Osin and Scare on the north side, so it's not going to be as free as it seems.
There's a lot going on here, definitely. They're kind of in the mix here. Now, they do have, like you said, that early elim here, so it's a single player left in the duo. They're just hiding out, trying to buy his time here. Seems like he finally finds an opportunity to jump back in the mix. Jack has to come to the rescue. And we get a way in. There it is, but oh my gosh! What a shot by the Tick here. And this is what, you know, this is what happens at the highest level of play, right, Jacob? Like, anything can happen. Pros do have their moments where they end up clutching up, and although he does get full finish here, it doesn't matter. NPen is now in a much worse position.
Yeah, NPen is just hoping that OSID and Scare get bored. They don't look for him, and you can kind of see in the feed that NPen did not get eliminated. But in comes Dragon and Creon. This might be a blessing for NPen to try to get out. He does have the zip line though, leaves you open to taking shots. Creon Dragon not slowing down. Big shot on OSID, gonna push him back into the box. They have to try to find a way out. Creon there on the other side. They even get through. Dragon pulling full aggression on this fight against Osid and Scare. They already get the first knock. Creon with the other angle. They get a full-on wipe.
They played that perfectly as well. Leaving that weakened wall there while Dragon distracted from the high ground and then takes it at the prime time there. The timing just couldn't have been better. Looks Scare's trapped, caught with his pickaxe out. Just not much you can do here. Meanwhile, Falcons, Peterbot and Boyo back at it, this time onto Chris and Drew. We've seen this fight happen before. The last time, Chris and Drew were left almost in shambles, chased across a big section of the map. And it seemed pretty similar when the zone was kind of keeping Squiggly in play. They essentially went for the battle.
Peterbot and Boyo early on are willing to take some of these risks. You can say Peterbot takes a big shot, forced to back up. They didn't necessarily win the trades here when it comes to Surge. They're going to have to go back on over to Squibbly, where in essence they do have almost infinite heals that do spawn up over towards that rift. But Riptide, you saw threats in Fear. Win the fight in that last game. Fear almost going down. You can see it kind of led into them being affected by Storm Surge, but Mako and Blanks, a team that qualified out of Frigid Fortress with a victory royale, just changing up their drop spot here again today. And that's sometimes what you have to do. From day 1 to day 2, you hit the VODs, you figure out what changes you can make.
Threats and Veer successful in the last game this time. Threats is left to play this one out by himself, at least here at the start. And once again though, Jacob, looking at that overall player count, 78 remaining, so it seems like the early day jitters are out the window here now. You're back to Curve and Veno playing similar to the last time. It made sense why there was that big wooden base. This is just the early game strategy. Committing here to play for a Surge Tower.
Where he's going to give up all the loot to Curve right now. You know, Curve is kind of, I wouldn't say the mastermind by any means, but he's the main guy, the main source of their early game damage. Trying to get Surge. You see them breaking open the tops of buildings. That way nobody can safely lurk nearby. And I think that's one thing for certain, because we saw Veno try to make that attempt in that last game, lurk back towards the Surge base that was momentarily stolen. And I almost wonder if that's why. You see a lot of these Surge bases, Monster, Metal, Brick. Veno and Curve, for the most part, they build it in wood.
Yeah, they know it's temporary. They don't want to attract too much attention. And maybe when it's wood, it kind of signals to other people, no one's going to be based up in wood, right? Surely not. It's all part of the strategy. Mind games at play here. H-Cube and Cryptid do end up finding threats there. So from Solo now back to the lobby there. A little update here. We're cold and rapid.
For threats going down though, and Veer, that's a huge loss. You know, coming into this game alone, they're in 11th place. They're 20 points ahead of the line, 13th place for that Summit land spot. So they're gonna have to really hope the rest of the competition doesn't fare as well in this game, kind of giving them a couple of chances to close out the day. Maybe 4 more games left for them. 5 overall, including this one for Cold and Rapid, just kind of business as usual. Set up center map over at Dark Dominion. Cold was able to get the mythic Chaos Reloader, and you can see all the sorts of goodies that they have. Multiple pizzas, medkits. So they can honestly stay here just like they normally do, rotate late, and just kind of pad that surge stat.
Yeah, at least 4 or so games yesterday. I think whenever we tuned in, essentially, they had a mythic shotgun or AR or otherwise. So they have had a fair amount of success and a little bit of luck. I mean, they're in a loadout situation. Bolt and Acorn in a fight against Electro right now. It's a bit of a messy one. You see other teams putting their influence into the mix here. Throwing their ammo into the bucket, if you will. Electro manages to sneak out the side, though. Turn things around, puts himself in between those firing shots.
Was prepared for this, Acorn, but for Electro and Ulk, they don't want to overstay their welcome here. Shockwave outside of range for Acorn and Bolt, but they end up in the range of Cole and Matt. also been performing well so far on day number 1. It looks like Metro Volt are looking to get aggressive here, maybe for some early surge or eliminations, depending on what they're looking for overall, if they want to try to fly up that leaderboard. But there are 4 teams directly in this location. Acorn and Bolts all the way towards the north, and a couple of teams stacked up in between. Electron Ult got all of that information due to the past couple of shockwaves, and I do think they're making the right decision. Focus on getting into zone instead of staying on a stacked edge. Especially for their loadouts. Yeah, they don't have nothing.
A couple of fished up floppers already. They're going to have to get their material count back. But you saw their Cold, they thought they were spotted out. That's why they based up almost defensively out the gate, which gave Electro the signal. Like, yo, wait a second. These dudes are hiding from us. Like, maybe we should take this fight. He's out though. Peter Bonfoglio back at it right now, finding CDZ and Raven here. It's like the worst nightmare for CDZ and Raven. You know, we gave them a lot of grace yesterday as we watched them continue to improve game to game, but whatever they're doing right now, they're ending up in the warpath with Peter Bonfoglio. I don't like it. I'm sure they don't either.
Hey, they almost got it down onto Pollo. That's maybe a non-factor. He does clean up that elimination. It almost makes me wonder, CDZ and Raven rotated in towards Swibbly in that last game. They did not fight Peterbot and Pollo. So they're probably thinking, like, Peterbot and Pollo, they're not going to be here. They're going to rotate on out. This time, a whole different plan for Pete and Pollo. They stay around Swibbly Shores. They spot out the team rotating in. They just fight for those eliminations. 8 more points for them as they continue to rise up that leaderboard. They closed the gap already with game number 1. And they're already closing the gap again. Depending on how many eliminations that Curve and Benno have been able to get so far, this game started with a 13-point lead between 5th and 6th place. Well, they've already cut it down to 5.
Looks and Hicks want to do that as well. I mean, clearly the #1 problem with their entire situation right now is that they need way more eliminations. They came into this with roughly 15 or so. If you look at all the teams inside the top 10, they are definitely towards the bottom of the elim activity. Their placement points are exceptional though. And I mean, they even do have those 2 wins. Like, let's not forget that, right? Like, that's super impressive all in all.
For a moment yesterday, had me believing that Clicks Higgs, first time FNC as champions, he's going to be able to channel that. They're not going to get high elimination games. They really need to start picking up consistent placements inside of the top 5 as Aegis and Ritual. Uncontested at Sandy's Trip. For the most part, this is one of those POIs. We don't see very, very many teams rotate in and around. I think they know how aggressive Ritual and Aegis and how long they actually stay at this POI to protect that many machine. Get some early surge and avoid rotating around so they don't take any free damage to some of these other teams. Rotate late in the next couple of zones, but for Hobby and Aminish, they've already made it priority to rotate in towards the zone. Not too far away if you look at the mini-map, those little blue arrows, yep, that's visuals, that's braids, kind of taking a page out of their playbook, elevate themselves on a mountain in the center of zone, and hopefully teams make mistakes rotating by.
Yeah, their strategy hasn't changed. I mean, even last game was not too bad. If they could have just pushed it a little bit further, they'd be sitting still inside a 3rd, but 16th is still an end game, you know, overall. However, the big points start to really add up if you break into the top 10, closer to that top 5. Nothing Sphinx here. Don't see Sphinx. Yep, looks like he must have been caught in some of the action here. Look, Jacob, we were talking about how fast, you know, the first, like, 2 zones have played out, and then from then till now, it's almost as if no one's been eliminated. We're still at that 76-player mark.
It's almost a feeling of some of these contested drops or the surrounding lands, a little bit of freedom, because everybody has that time limit where they have to drop, they have to get their loot, they have to mat up, they have to grab their resources, so maybe that's the little window of opportunity some of these teams are going ahead and taking for their own. Play out here. Aggression is going to be the name of the game if you're looking to make up with some of those points. You see Benno and Curve already doing it. We're seeing Peterbot come online with doing it. In instances, we talked about some of the solo clutch impact points monster. Aegis wasn't necessarily on that list, but if we would have kept the list going for these last couple of games added on top of that, Aegis did move, I believe, into the top 5 of solo clutch players.
Most definitely. This is a great kind of position to start catching up. Talk about Visual Embrace's journey, right? Look at this. The zone's pulling south, and this is actually favorable for them because they have some distance from the edge, and they can see all of these potential opportunities of teams that have to move long before them. So they have their clear pathway to success to overdrive out, And then they have teams all in the distance here to kind of pick apart in the process. Meanwhile, though, Clicks is actually in a world of trouble. Why in the world would he end up by the Dark Dominion? We'll just have to figure that one out here in a second. He's lost Clicks in the process.
Yeah,
For Higgs.
decisions, yeah. Big part of their game plan here. And you can see it almost looks like they might have been rotating underneath. Not sure why Rapid and Cold would be down there, but you can see why they were getting aggressive. They're 252 above the damage threshold. Clicks is actually pushing right back in. He's trying to go on the offensive. I'm not sure if this is the plan right now or just to simply try to push them back for the free reboot card. Either way, a brave play coming out from Clicks. Probably knowing that Cold was weak, a lot of HP missing, and he's actually going to be able to steal away a pizza out of the hands of Cold and Rapid. It's just a matter of Cold and Rapid rotating out. Clicks probably checking to make sure, and now everybody is out of Dark Dominion. So even though in this moment, Monster, it looks like disaster strikes, they're going to have a breath of fresh air and time to breathe if he can get that reboot off.
The only thing I can think of, and we will have to go to the replays to find out, he had to have been fighting for Higgs' reboot card, right? There's no way he's just going to go challenge a team like that, right? Like, not for no reason, at least, not as a solo. So in the end, though, it plays off. He ends up doing exactly what he needs to do, and he comes out ahead. You know, the extra pizza box is definitely going to be a huge win for them, especially if they're in the zone. So Big up for you, though, in a bit of a standoff right now. And they have the zone. Okay, this is actually perfect. 800 damage above. Material count not exactly maxed out, however, though, they have everything else going for them.
That whole team next to him is Flex and Light on the other side, trying to put down pressure, possibly force Peterbot and Toyo back, but we're going to have some time here in a moment as they drop down a whole nother layer. A 5-tick zone, and we tune into Reet right now. No Cooper in sight, having to burn through his material. Multiple teams, looks like they spotted him out as a solo. Send some fire his way, trying to put down pressure, but his own max pulls yet again away from Reet. Trying to see if he's going to actually try to go for the revive here with very little materials or play it out as a solo. I think he has no other choice but to play this one out as a solo. It's not enough time to get the revive. Both of them will end up going down. So Reet, a lot of pressure on your shoulders here to finish this game.
Pressure on Bolt and Acorn as well here. Below this surge, we were highlighting the fact that teams like Acorn and Bolts didn't have problems with the Storm Surge at all, at least doing damage to them. And then we come in now, and already that's not the same story here at all. Acorn, so much pressure here, doesn't even have time to go and heal. But Bolts comes in to back him up here. This is onto paper. This is really going to come down to whether or not Bolts can buy his teammate a little bit of time. He's done it so far. He finds Paper there. And Paper goes rolling away off to the side. Rezi now in a one-on-one against Acorn. Acorn, you gotta fend for yourself, son. This is gonna be tough. Rezi's trying to hold it down. Acorn, no! The big Acorn is here! And he does what he needs to do to stay in the game. But no. Bolts have to leave him. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe that series of events. Acorn and Bolts forced to fight a shockwave away. Bolts tries to make a heroic play, but just gets cut a little too short. This game right here in terms of the leaderboard, Monster, they are going to feel for sure. Outside of Elam, those are the only points they got. See possibly going down around 29th, 30th place. No points for that effort. Peterbot and Boyle, though, surviving a little bit of an onslaught, not only able to get eliminations, but a little bit of a cleanup, some extra loot for them to work with. And it's something I think Cold and Rapid need. We saw them getting chased by Clicks underneath, trying to get revenge for Higgs. And you can see what that has done to their position in this game. Barely 3 above the damage threshold. Cold with a huge chunk of shield missing. It's put them so far back.
I'm just thinking, like, Cold and Rapid have a chance to break so far ahead of the competition. It's going to be a huge problem for the rest of the lobby right now, if they have a big end game right here. No one's played perfect, though.
I feel for him here, just taking damage from Storm, taking damage from Storm Surge, no extra HP, he's 93 below, it's deactivated for a moment, and oh my, that's the only moment he needs. Literally, if it was still actually active, Monster, he would have been ticked down for sure, but Reed making a play, 4 more points in this game, 2 teams need to go down, and he's going to start getting rewarded with placement points.
Hey man, he's back like he never left right here. He's got 2 big pots as well. The bounce back in the game, pressure on breaks and visuals from the side here. These are his walls too. He can get in and make some pretty dirty plays here. But talk about a way to claw your way out of the grave for a second. Visuals and Braids, though. Look at what happened here. Just shortly before they made that rotate, they actually find an elimination there, an important one as well. At 3 HP, the Siphon is what's going to keep them in the game, remaining competitive. I saw that while we were hopping around, Clicks actually eliminated too. So we have some pretty big top 10 teams now, fully out the game. This is going to shake up everything as we know it. 68 below, though. Visuals, Braids get a little moment to breathe, but it's not going to last very long.
See, Braids had some extra shield, allowing him to take the tick, but I'm not sure he's going to be able to find the damage, especially in a zone like this. Curve and Veno, we saw Shockwave from the backside of zone to contest the high ground. Nobody's really making themselves known as the team above the rest. They're not necessarily ready for it. 8 zones, sometimes we say it's a little bit too early, and I think everybody has that same sense in the back of their mind. Saving the material, saving the Shockwaves, make a play for it maybe in the next couple of zones, but for now, Ager's in Ritual. Looking at what's in front of him, that's Slepsy, that's Ager's put down damage, trying to spray through the box. A couple of those are going to connect, but not enough to give them the green light to go.
Yeah, there's one thing about the way Clicks and Higgs played. They play these single towers and not really overcommit with the tarps. And I would love to see teams do that because high ground is completely free right now. Even Rituals and Ages are looking up like, wait a second, bro. No one's up here, and you saw him kind of break off for it. Braids on the other side, though, just popping off right here. Playing the edge of zone, gets a little Siphon going, and now look, you look up, Aegis finally secures it. Peterbot Boyo come in. They were just waiting for someone to build a foundation, and now they come in to try to take the investment away from them, and it actually works off.
Yeah, massive damage onto Agers, onto Ritual, force them away, but you still got to be careful for Curve and Veno, full HP front side of zone. Agers gets left by himself. Talk about him moving possibly into the top 5 in terms of solo impact points in this game, and this is another chance for him to do just that. There's a bunch of points in terms of placement still left on the board. 4 points per elimination if you can clean those up, but you have to watch out because Peterbot and Boyo, not only do they have the high ground, they notice that second height, put down a little bit of pressure, forcing them down a whole nother layer, then set their focus onto 20 and Neko as well. They're building up step by step, taking a lot of the focus from Peterbot and Boyo.
Golden Rapid may not have won a game this weekend, but they've been playing low ground very well. But look at this. As I'm about to celebrate their key positioning, they get rolled up on from behind. Meanwhile, Curve, Veno doing the same thing they did before, play deep side of Storm, come bouncing way on in with the Flowberry Mist to just support them here for the high ground take. But Veno's got to be careful. He's right outside the box of Peterbot Boyo. It seems like they've conceded to give away the high ground, and it is theirs now. Veno and Curve here, Jacob, are trying to play for back-to-backs. Boyo's down and out in the Storm. It's all up to Peterbot to clutch it up, too.
And back-to-back is 100% certainly possible, especially with the tough competition out of the lobby as Brilliant takes out Gold. Their run has come to an end. Vivid was talking about if they can repeat that same game, they can close the gap. But now with first, second, and third place out of your way, this is an opportunity to do it. But Peterbot by himself, 6 HP and a dream. Finds a little crevice there to hold on to down below. Not able to get the elimination, though. He gets taken out. Top 6 situation. 3 solos running around. 3 duos still intact. Veno and Curve are still up above, raining down fire, not really giving anybody a chance to breathe and think outside of the box, which is Force and Seek to take this Storm damage. It's his only play here to try to get some extra placement points.
Love what we're seeing right now. Veno coming down here. No material, just force the play chest to chest here while Curve's got eyes from the top down. Here comes the mist. Just give them a little bit of a relief here, but Tyler comes up, goes for the pop shot, doesn't quite hit it. And Tyler's got enough mats to actually do work here. Jacob, this is not a safe endgame by any means. It really is going to come down to whether or not Tyler wants to contest them on height or jump down low for some elimination points.
Yeah, it's not just the build that I'm looking at, it's that Mythic Chaos Reloader that can turn the tides of fights in the blink of an eye. But he's getting pushed by the solo down below. Seek, he gets the elimination. Siphon getting up to 200 effective shield and HP. More builds to work with, but up above, Curve and Veno, they're refusing to drop down low. They're refusing to give him a chance, so Tyler has no choice but to go up. Big shot on the Curve. Tyler is trying to make dreams come true. He lands another shot on the Veno down below, trying to deny the back-to-back. Tyler, he just needs the one chance, but he is already down. He's by himself. 1v1. Zone is closing. 3 HP. Tyler clutches up.
You know what? That might have been his biggest play of his career, and he definitely deserves it. There's one thing you cannot deny. A professional player with builds is dangerous no matter who you are. Well played to Tyler and Chance there. What an exceptional game number 8 there we just saw, Jacob.
Yeah, I would say Tyler, he needs a chance, but his duo's name's Chance. He's down when he got that second opportunity, and he ran away with it, Zeke. Are you not excited?
That was... I'm sitting there like,
Wow.
Tyler's walking around taking these shots. I'm like, oh, myself. You know, I'm thinking like, oh, get out of the way, no. I just... You know, it's one of those situations, right, when you're like, dude, this is Curve and Benno, right? Like, we're about to see the back-to-back day 2 grands, and in the moment we pop over to Tyler, and you just look at his builds, you're like, this guy's 90 builds. Like, GG, just kidding, it's all fine. Like, Kelly, and then just to hit those shots in again, like in a 1v2 in a grand's lobby. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I know no one wants to be stuck in the low ground when there's so much chaos going on, but having 90 builds in the final moment right there where there was literally only 3 other players alive just goes to show that maybe getting those refreshes can be so beneficial because you just stay so stocked up. But man, Tyler there, he played that low ground so well, and that's not to the detriment of Vino and Curve. They played height really well too. You could hear our casters talking about it. They don't want to drop down. They don't want to give them that chance. So that gives you that kind of understanding that Vino and Curve were aware of the position that Tyler was in. And look at this, even in these moments, he didn't have any build,
Right
but
there.
getting that
Look at
refresh
that.
right there, Vivid, is what made the difference.
We tuned in. He was at 11 zone and he had 1 build. Skip ahead 1 elimination. When's the last time we saw anybody in any competition with triple-digit builds in the final zone of the game? And I mean, listen, I wanted Veno and Curve to go ahead and win this game because the Surgeons up the leaderboard. Yeah, that would have helped them just that much more. But as soon as I saw 100+ materials, 100+ builds on Tyler, I was like, this one, he's going to be an absolute hassle to take down. And he absolutely proved it. Shout out to Veno, though, because even with the odds stacked against him, took him down to 3 HP. It was close.
It was, man. I cannot believe how much day 2 is delivering. 280 points. And now we are looking to cement ourselves in that top 13. Shout outs to Tyler and Chance. Okay, we're gonna go to a break. When we return, again, we've got to take a look at these standings. How are things developing? More after this break. Stay tuned.
Watch me arrive.
Wait, if you're mid, wait.
feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
Carbon Venom. Carbon Venom. Oh man. Oh man. Wait till you guys see the standings. First off, in case you missed it, welcome back to the FNCS. It is a great day to be watching Fortnite. We just watched an incredible game, but Carbon Venom almost got another Victory Royale. Second place, 9 elims. I told you we had to look at these standings, right? Because I'm telling you, game to game, it feels like I have no sense of stability, Kelly. It feels like every time I have a semblance of like, this must be the way this is going, right? Wrong!
Is that
Because
new
the
for you?
standings decide, you know what? What?
Oh, I'm sorry. I feel like instability is part of your lifestyle, Zeke. I don't think that's anything new whatsoever. But for the FNCS broadcast, seeing our leaderboard shake up this much, Vivid, might be a little bit new. I definitely thought the leaderboard was going to be ready. There we go. Okay, Vivid, take it away.
Curve and Venno started the day in 10th place. I talked about it. They were 113 points behind first place. After just 2 games, they're now 27 points behind first place. And that elim column, it just keeps getting crazier. Zeke, you talked about it. It was at 40. Now it's at 49.
I am just shocked. You know, like something that Kelly said at the start of like yesterday, right? We kind of like were hinting at this extra point, right? Again, it's like 1 point really doesn't sound like a lot, but when you put it in the hands of like a Curve and Venom who want to get aggressive, they want to get in these boxes, they want to take these fights. I mean, look at how it's paying off. We have just after 2 games, we started the day, Kelly, in 10th. We are now 2nd.
And it's not even like they're just kind of running on the low ground getting these eliminations. No, they're also making sure that they're stealing height, checking high ground, making sure that they're taking away other opportunities from other teams. So it's not, again, what are they doing right, but what are they taking away from everyone else? And Curve and Vino are doing a great job with those sneaky height steals that we love to see Acorn do, and to see them use that strategy to be able to even just punish height. Obviously, coming into this final moment, the 1v2 against Chance or against Tyler, probably not the position that Veno wanted to be in right now, but regardless of that, they are pushing themselves up the leaderboard right now. And you know, I'm looking at EU. The most eliminations we saw out of a team coming from Europe was Sky and Scroll with 57 eliminations.
Oof.
And looking to see 49 for Curve and Veno. And considering the game or the day that they had yesterday to the day that they're having today, I wonder if they're going to end up with more elims than them.
Gotta say, Zeke, what a weird lobby that was too, with like the high ground. Like at one point there was like nobody up there, and all of a sudden, you know, Peterbot and Player kind of going for it. And then when Curve and Veno went for it, there was nobody up there as well. Like Peterbot and Player had to fall down and did that huge overdrive grenade again, right where they're all the way up in the sky. And I was looking up and I was like, oh my gosh, look, is that a bird? It's a plane? No, it's the plane that brought Veno over from EU to NA all the way up there, man. That's how high they're getting for some of these height retakes. I mean, it's incredible. Game 7, Game 8, it went the exact same way. They took height at the exact same time. And like I mentioned, man, Game 7, they look like a different duo. Game 8, they repeated it. 4 more games. These guys look like they're going to win this thing.
Oh man, guys, we can't forget, right? Cold and Rapid, look at them up there right now. Of course, not a ton of points ahead, but what strikes me as crazy is Cold and Rapid, this last game, they hit a 10th place with 4 elims. They have only had 1 game outside of the top 10. Only 1 game, and that was at 26-1. And we called it quote-unquote mistake, right? The blunder that kind of cost them all of these additional points. But even in these situations where they're finding themselves in shambles situations, we're still pulling off 10th places, top 10 with 4 elims. That's scary stuff, Kelly.
Yeah, and that is exactly what Cold and Rapid are doing so well, is that even though they're not, like, even if they don't get their pop-off game, they're still making sure that they at least make it to the very final moment to get those placement points. And then when they do have everything right, that's when they pull off the pop-off game. So I'd love to see another game like that coming out of them.
Cold and Rapid, they keep trying to build some sort of a lead, but teams, they just keep keeping themselves close. They're like, what the heck? Where did Curve and Veto come from? I thought we were fine. Red Acre and Bolts are doing a little bit worse today. Oh man, these guys got to be sweating, but they're cool, calm, collected. 4 games left to go. Hopefully they can hold on.
Oh man, game number 9. Only 4 left before we conclude the grand finals. Casters, we're gonna send it your way to prepare us for game number 9.
I'm glad you guys had a little moment to breathe and relax there. One thing's for certain, Jacob, 2 games can change so much of the dynamic right now. Curve and Venom proving that every team that is due for a pop-off will have it. But to go back-to-back like that, so impressive.
Now, it's definitely going to be tough, but one thing that I've learned from Fortnite, I've heard from Fortnite over the years, high ground, they might win games, but low ground tends to win championships, and I'm not sure. We've seen Cold and Rapid on high ground once throughout this week, and I'm not sure how much that will change, but the next game is ready, so let's jump right into the action.
The Major 1 Finals Game 9 begins here and now. If you're just tuning in, you've missed quite the weekend. The ups, the downs, the emotional roller coaster we have been going through is all coming to an end here soon. Just 4 games ahead of us now, Jacob, as we're getting into the deep end, the deep water of this Fortnite competition. And Curve and Veto just proving to us that, hey, yesterday, they clearly had everything on lock. Things just didn't quite line up for them in the end game. But today, it is starting to click. And for Tyler and Chance, right? This is a team that's had a lot to deal with as well. But Tyler popping off right now, really getting his money's worth. And don't forget, they haven't been perfect either, but they found themselves inside the top 10 off of that monstrous performance.
Big moments here, kind of closing out the day. 4 games left. Might seem like a lot, but it definitely isn't. Threats and Beer probably have feeling it. In that last game, also, they were inside of that top 13 bubble. They went down relatively early and fell all the way down to 15th place because of these off-spawn contested fights. So with Blanks and Mako, you can see they're trying to make a last-ditch effort towards the top of the leaderboard. For Threats and Beer, they're right there. So we talk about mind games. What does that do to a team like Threats and Beer? Do you play aggressive? Do you try to go ahead and disengage, split the drop? I think there's a lot of decisions to be made for Threats and Beer, and there's not a lot of time to make those decisions.
The last game, they only survived for 5 minutes. 5 minutes means they fell in 41st place. They were on track to remain in qualification range, of course, for that land spot, the prestigious land spots that are available. And now they slipped down to 15. So that 20-point gap that you talked about, I mean, that was given and then some. Now it's an uphill battle for them to find their way back into the race. Well, you're Peterbot on the other side. No, we're trying to figure out what's going on with this team here. They've had, overall, if you just look at the overall performances, pretty good. However, the best of the best, right? Those that are up at the very top are just outpacing them by a significant margin as far as overall consistency. So will Peterbot and Pollo get their moment to finally win a game is the question.
Yeah, especially, you kind of look at some of these teams at the top of the leaderboard and their overall match history, and you kind of look at it from anybody else, you're like, man, that's a good match history. For the teams like Beerbot and Pollo, the teams like this Clicks and Higgs, when you start off the first 3 games for Clicks and Higgs with victory royales, it kind of sets the tone and the pace for the rest of the tournament, but then things don't necessarily go your way. With one of the best POIs, they got 4 games left. I think anything is possible, especially since the last couple games to start the day. They have their head on straight. They're still staying to their plan, going for high ground when they can. It's just unfortunate. I think more and more teams are ready to make the risk with everything on the line today.
For me, I still can't be the only one who's wondering why in the world did they end up at the Dark Dominion against Cold and Rapid, who are clearly playing that's cut above the rest of the competition right now. So we'll keep eyes on this. This is obviously one of the stronger draw spot teams tend to rotate into for Metal. Let's give this little highlight here, some action. Noisy and Neo just holding down the Sanctuary once again, finding nice little lurk play there. Meanwhile, Tyler and Chance survived the Boulevard. Looks like Curve and Venno have not decided to push down south towards his team, and instead they end up disengaging and out towards the southern edge of the map.
This is something we saw Tyler and Chance do in that last game. They landed the south side of Battlewood. Sometimes it can be a little contested, so they immediately go towards the south and try to cut off the loop path of any of these teams that are on this portion of the map. Going to be plenty of opportunity depending on what your timing is, but it seems like Tyler and Chance barely missed their window. Players going to go ahead and rotate around for free. Aviv and King, though, another team. Aviv, you're talking about solo clutch and big impact points. Aviv was one of those players on the top of the leaderboard, and then you take into a fact like the eval finals right before FNC has started. They were the only team to win 2 different games, so they have the blueprint. Just unfortunately, we really haven't seen the success that we'd hope for from a team like this. Kind of seeing if they can really bounce back in today's tournament. I think there's plenty of time and opportunity. They're at 174 points, though. About 80 points down away from that top 13 window.
Yeah, it looks like every other game they're making somewhat of a semblance towards the end game, but not quite being able to push the boulder past the peak of the mountain there. Get that momentum going, but Venno and Curve actually find Magma G-Monster right here trying to set up. I thought he was spotted out, but Magma's got no idea that he's actually approaching this close here. I want to know if he's going to go for the high ground player or the low ground one. G-Monster's exposed as well.
I think they might just go for a straight chop, but Magma's dropping down low, so he's probably going to wait for the window to open. He go ahead and disengage out. G-Money gets spotted out on the other side. Don't take your pick at this point, because Venno and Curve are ready to go all in. Boxes up one, slides into the box onto Magma. Now they're going to go ahead and take down G-Money. A quick 2 eliminations. Venno and Curve, they're not slowing down.
And I've worked with Venno enough times to know exactly what his thought process there, right? Put the pressure down on the other opponent. The other one's gonna get risky. He plays the switch, reverse card, lands on him, boxes him up before he even recognizes he's actually the one that's the target. Venno is just playing different right now. And again, this is no different than what we saw yesterday. They have been overly successful in the early game. And now that they're finding the end game kind of formula, right? The solution to their problems. That's why they've been able to close this gap so fast.
Not sure how many teams can really take them on head-to-head with the way they're playing so far, so you maybe have to catch them on a rotation, maybe get them lobby focused. But Bolts and Acorn talk about their strategy. Vivid broke down that long launch pad towards the back. They combine both the Fizz and the Shockwave for easy rotations just like this. We jump on board Creon Dragon, the third party to fight to start the game yesterday. It was Reet and Cooper as well. We're talking about threats and fear falling outside of the bubble. Reet and Cooper are surely close to that same situation. Not sure how Cooper went down in that last game, but we saw Reet by himself in some of those later zones struggling to get out alive. So this is going to be a little bit of a makeup game, a little bit of redemption to kind of build that confidence back up.
They got tagged back in exchange there a few times, so just giving away some of that damage that they're, of course, hard earning. Cooper was lost, like we mentioned, really early last round, right? So there is some more work to be desired here. Blake and Preston, though, already at 2 elims. Look at this. It's just trying to sneak up, find another player here, lurking in the box. Cleaning things up here. Visuals Brains finds himself under some serious pressure here. Now, I was going to mention, normally by now they're already situated in a monstrous surge base. Haven't quite gotten to do that just yet. You can see he is Cat Metal, though. Meanwhile, back on the Rituals and Beavers here. What's happening now?
Yeah, I'm not sure if they heard the noise from Blake and Preston. Maybe a reboot, not sure, but they see Preston by himself. I mean, look at the minimap. I don't see Blake anywhere in sight. That'll matter. He's either gone or outside of the lobby. So Preston on the clock, inside of the zone. It's only going to be a 1 tick here, but they are tracing him down. Gets the patch up, which is huge. Back-to-back 50 HP being regenerated. No time to pop the shield, though. So he's buying himself a good amount of time. And the longer they stay in the zone, if Ages of Ritual don't heal up, they could be 1 shot away, but they sneak the shot through in yet again. The numbers advantage work in their favor. Ages of Ritual solidify their 2nd elimination here. My only question, Monster, is how much damage they took overall chasing that one down.
Yeah, definitely wasn't the cleanest fight. SU Dozer against Acorn and Bolts right now on the edge of Storm here. Dozer Esho looking to rotate out right now. Little do they know, though. Seems like there might be a duo here watching this little angle. It's actually Ravens and CDZ who have a bit of a choke point here down in the low ground. But Acorn and Bolts hold strong. They want to maintain position here in the bush. CDZ had no idea they were there. And there it is. They get a couple attacks. Off they go.
Good rotation here for Acorn and Bolts, putting them much ahead of the Curve. But one thing I noticed kind of looking at that leaderboard, you got Cold and Rapid in first, Benno and Curve in second place. Which you're thinking both big teams, right? But remember the reason why Benno came from EU to play on NA in the first place. It was to play with Cold. They had a bunch of lackluster performances which caused them to split different ways. At one point, you saw the Peterbot and Poyo split up. Benno was going to play with Peter, but then he went with Curve. Cold was like, I'm going with Rapid. They already qualified for the Reload Elite Series finals, so they already had that chemistry. I think the community saw that one coming from a mile away. So it's interesting to see two teammates who broke up now fighting for first and second place on the leaderboard.
That's right, Diminish has that LAN experience as well, right? So bringing something totally new to this team here. And if they continue to do what they're doing and stay on track to make it to LAN, that's going to pay off for sure. Think about this positioning here from Bucky and Zen underneath the bases of Noisy and Neo.
I like it to not take too much damage or too much focus. Kind of makes it a little bit easier to rotate without shockwaving a high distance away to take damage. But they're not going to get as much opportunity to get surged. The team above is going to get first strike at that. And by the time they can even open up their walls and try to get their own shots to connect, see the zone not too far away from Dark Dominion at the current time. Cold and Rapid position up above. And honestly, there's no real reason for Cold and Rapid to stray away from their strategy. You don't fix what isn't broken. If their worst placing is going to be a 26 and kind of an outlier game, and after that it's a 10th place, honestly, you'd be crazy to switch things up for no reason.
Yeah, I'm just starting to think, should we be upset if Venno flies in from EU and then wins an FNCS here in NA? Now we got to start asking these types of questions here. I don't know how to feel about it. It's getting pretty contentious up at the top.
It's definitely going to help his case. You know how he feels about the comparison for EU to NA, and he's just right there. Honestly, less than 20 points away at this current time. Closing the gap as the game does go on. See Reet and Cooper on the distance, trying to make up for that last game. You see them kind of waiting, biding their time. And this is where a lot of teams, if you look at the strategy from Clicks and Higgs, and you were asking the question, how did Higgs go down? You can almost imagine a situation like this, coming in, using the wonky wheel. And a lot of these teams, just like, Reet and Cooper, Cold and Rapid, are positioned high up in their surge tower bases. So you're not going to be out of render distance as you would think.
Yeah, they got eyes on the boxes, right? We already kind of called this before. The teams that are positioned up in these bases do tend to wait things out and try to look for opportunity for those that are going to rotate, pass. Again, this is game number 9. 12, 2-day format here, always keeping us on our toes. As things are starting to heat up, the 50-50 zone's going to pop, and it's coming up this way. This is kind of risky, right? Jacob, we talked about teams that kind of play deep into the storm right here, and then the zone pulls your weight, and you just stay here, right? And you kind of tank all of this storm. Now, what you're doing is you're opening yourself up to potential sickness, but also, obviously, it's going to cost you a lot of heals.
Yeah, a lot of your resources. That's kind of the give and take of a game like this. We talk about a similar scenario when somebody's getting struck down by Storm Surge. Do you out-heal it? Do you try to get eliminations? So hopefully with their position here, the youthful zone, Reet and Cooper, they're going to go through their splashes, maybe some pieces to try to maintain their position, not only on high ground, but on the north side of the map where it's going to open up. It's going to be a little bit slower to travel through. Muds and Sphinx, Storm Surge does activate 175 above the damage threshold. You're seeing they're only peeking for small opportunities. They're level with the ground, so they're not going to get as much information from all the teams rotating in.
Confused for a second. It looked like someone literally fell out the sky. I'm like, do we have an in-game event happening right now? What was that? Like, Sphinx and Muzz just kind of hanging out right now. I like the spot that they're in, 150 above. Not too bad, not exactly safe. However, it can go either way. See Curve, Veno now. They've already found themselves pretty content, right? They find their elimination, they get the big cleanup here, and they haven't quite left. They just took the Surge base and have turned it into their own strategy. Now Zones continue to pull this way. They're gonna have to shockwave out here shortly. Here it goes. One as a team, but ooh, someone's waiting for them to make that move. A little bit of damage onto Curve, but Veno goes untouched.
Yeah, those are the risks versus the reward that I kind of look at in situations where you're shockwaving off a height. You have a good bird's eye view when you're able to kind of be up here, monster, but once you shockwave down, you kind of leave yourself open to taking the shots, just like you saw there. But they were very, very proactive in the early game. They're able to pad that cushion when it comes to Storm Surge, so they can take minimal damage just like that. I see Clicks and Higgs still rotating in from Wonky Land. A little bit of slower rotation than others. They're taking a lot of the focus, and this is what happens when you fall behind with the rest of the pack.
I was wondering if we were going to get a little update on Clicks and Higgs here. Their performance definitely coming up short from what we expected. It's hard to live up to that hot start. Look at this though, Sleep 10 waiters here, tries to go up and over. They get caught in the process, also find themselves below the surge, so there's just all types of problems here to deal with. Meanwhile, Veno takes full advantage of that. They get the refresh that they need. They might even build into the zone here with a monstrous metal base if they wanted to. I was gonna say, they obviously have enough mats to do so. Let's take a look at it. It's Veno who connects there, Jacob.
Just big damage. Not sure what Slepsy was thinking, but I saw him 500 below the damage threshold. He's probably trying to drop on anybody with a surprise attack, tries to get the one pump. But I did see, the teammate just kind of go down right behind Paper, who was looking not even in that direction. Probably after the elimination got cleaned up, the loop kind of made itself known. Paper looks around like, ooh, what is this? Kind of gets rewarded there. Cold and Rapid. See them continuously staying on these mid layers. They don't want to have a target on their back going for high ground, especially since they're already in first place. They don't have to change up anything here. 313 damage above the threshold, just waiting for the next zone to pull, and more than half of the lobby just got a max pull over towards Humble Hills.
Have it. Things are about to start heating up real quick here now as we're approaching the final moments of game number 9. Endgame is on. Storm Surge is here. And Clicks and Higgs are 150 below right now. Still plenty of room of damage to be had here, so they have to play aggressive. Into the box they go. Higgs gets a monster shot, Clicks into the box. Wow. And Clicks does what he needs to, but no, its Agers and Rituals are here to clean it up. And they take out some of that close competition there in Clicks and Higgs. And the runway is starting to open up now. Meanwhile, Curve and Veno, clear as day. Blue skies for the team over here. They have high ground and max material once again. This just doesn't get better for them.
Yeah, I'm not sure if these were all of their bases or not, but essentially shockwaving from base to base to base in the last couple of zones to make sure they maintain their presence up above. You see them all that extra loot building outward, not necessarily to hold the tarp, but just to get their edge inside of the zone. Peterbot and Boyo filmed the same struggle. For a moment, one below the damage threshold. They quickly prop themselves back up, 89 above. Boyo looking toward the backside of zone, trying to get some easy damage. Peterbot on the hunt for some of his own. Almost bites off more than he could chew in that moment. But either way, Boyo's able to clean up at least one elimination and continue to build up on that Storm Surge. Only 3 players need to go down before it deactivates, but as they get eliminations, so do Cold and Rapid. There goes another one for Cold, adding to his total.
It's crazy, man. The amount of eliminations they managed to find in the endgame is so impressive. And they're in the lead, mind you, right? So this is really going to give them that room to run away with it. And you start looking at players like Rapid, you start looking at players like Curve. Having an FNCS championship under your belt is one thing, but having it on NA just hits a little different too. So for some, they're looking to unify the belts. For others, they're trying to put the stamp on their name. And for folks like Curve, talk about really showcasing you're one of the greats now of the new era. But first, you got to do it. Rapid and Cold continuing to play the strat. Going for low ground front side here. Now, this time they do have low material count, so they will need a big refresh.
Which honestly doesn't worry me just one bit. Curve finds one though. There are 8 eliminations already, continuing the pressure on the lobby. Absolute destruction here on NA. And really have to take note, if Veno finds himself in first place when the tournament is over, he will be a new 2-region champion. EU and NA Central, arguably 2 of the hardest regions to win a championship on, but he's still got a quarter of the tournament left to play. Tyler, forced by himself, loses chance. Backside of the zone, he's getting pressured by Jack and Penn and a few other teams. Everybody forced to rotate in, finds a Fizz, trying to take advantage of that, but he runs into Peterbot and Poyo on the other side of the wall. Luckily for him, it looks like Peterbot and Poyo have their hands full, so they don't even look back, but as we tune back into Cold, he's by himself. No extra heals, no build. This is what the entire lobby needs to have a chance.
And they're only in top 20 right now, like barely holding on here. For Cold to fall, the runway really starts to become available now for everyone else. So look at this. Veno lost in the process. Curve forced to play high ground by himself. Meanwhile, Acorn and Bolts find a 2-set elimination down low. And then we jump right into Poyo, who also has a refresh of their own. And everyone is clawing back into this competition now.
Yeah, with first place gone, we got Curve by himself, we got Aegis Ritual, Acorn and Bolts, even Peterbot and Poyo, that all could be our first place team after this game, and they're ready to make it so. Big Elim up towards the top, Peterbot and Poyo, they send it up towards height, give themselves a huge advantage, and another 4 points for those eliminations, even more with the placement as it comes in, but down below, the counterpart, Aegis and Ritual still running wild. 5 eliminations of their own, they have pizza, they have splashes, they have materials on top. They don't even necessarily need an elimination.
You line it up, they will knock it down. Bolts and Acorn here, 4 eliminations now on the low ground. Peterbot and Poyo, we already know, have solidified their high ground position. Bolts just continue to do what he does best. That's a monstrous refresh, and he picks up everything here. Gets the Chug Jug as well. He's just living off the siphon, but no, Acorn gets caught there by Javi in a minute. Tyler still holding on here as well. Somehow finds his way into top 5. When we last checked in, it was 20th place. And Tyler is just clutching up, showing us how badly he wants it. Bolts here on the low ground though. Javi and Aminish here, full duo. Versus, of course, Peterbot Poyo pressure from the top. It's not looking too good here.
Yeah, Bolts just getting pressure from all angles. Both of the duos sandwich him, eat him alive, but there comes the drop down coming in. Peterbot realizing it's going over recycled builds. They can maintain their presence, but a blessing for them is the same blessing from down below. Javi and Aminish are able to utilize that same scenario, and rightfully so. Look at their material count monster. They were almost out of mats altogether.
Yeah, Peterbot knows what to do here. He's just got to keep that relentless pressure coming down. Hopefully he can pull for the win. But Javi comes up, finds a little cheeky angle from the side there, but he's got no mats. Peterbot also punished too. Aminish's got nothing but Poyo's coming down to finish the job. Peterbot's already got the full conclusion there, and now, Jacob, it's just looking like a 2v1.
Yeah, basically, Javi's living on borrowed time here. He might know it as well. No extra material. Zone pulling on over. Yes, he can farm up a little bit, but double Thunder Burst up above. The mythic AR, they're going to melt through those builds, and that's why you see layer by layer, Peterbot and Poyo dropping down. They just don't want to take any big risk here because they know this one is definitely in the bag. 9 eliminations so far, and if they're able to clean this one up, get that elimination onto Javi, this could be a double-digit elimination victory royale. They catch fire at the right time. Peterbot and Poyo on top.
You know, they were due for a win. That's what we kept saying. We're looking at their performances. We're seeing them make these end games. But the biggest question that was remaining was, when are they going to get that victory out? And you know what? They could have done it in a better time and at a better game, right? When you have Cold and Rapid there, Jacob falling early too. That right there is going to conclude game number 9 now. Peterbot and Poyo Zeke have finally done it.
It's happening! It's happening! Peterbot Poyo! Okay, everything. No, Kelly, it's happening. We knew it was gonna happen. We didn't know when, we didn't know why or how, but it's happening right now. 3 games left to go. Game number 9. They finally decide, you know what, Zeke? You know what? We've been quiet. We've been under the radar. We've been consistent, but on the DL. You know what, Zeke? We're gonna make a statement. We're gonna perfectly overdrive all the way up into height. We're going to shut that down, take that over, and you know what, Zeke? We're going to get ourselves a victory royale. Kelly, they're doing it. It's happening. It's happening.
You know, they say that there's 2 inevitabilities in life, death and in the final games. It is just inevitable. Peterbot and Pollo, we've seen them do it time and time again. The narrative has popped up time and time again. They're washed, it's over, Peterbot's done. And then they wrap up day one, always still in the top 10, by the way. But day two is where they come to show how they do it time and time again. Peterbot doing this crazy height steal to go onto Curve, who was a solo. Poor guy had no chance when you have Peterbot and Pollo flying up in the sky.
I mean, you know, there's kind of the conversation amongst us saying, yeah, you know, they've been pretty quiet this grand, and they really haven't. I mean, their best placement was a 5th place. We're used to seeing these guys just win games, take high ground convincingly, and it just has not happened. But that being said, they kept themselves in contention, right? Even though they weren't having these pop-up games, even though they weren't having those performances that we're used to seeing out of them, they were still in like 6th place going into that game, right? Just close enough to 1st place where it's like, okay, technically it's possible for them to kind of catch back up. You know, they're just always flying around, always buzzing around. And then it happens. They win the game. It's like we literally brought it to fruition by speaking it into existence. These guys are back. They win the game, and I saw how many points they have. I can't wait to see the leaderboard after we come back.
Oh, Vivid, you stole what I was going to say. 485 points. We knew going into that Golden Rapid had 446. But where did they end? Have they overtaken the #1 spot? Let's find out after this short break. Don't you go anywhere. We'll see you right after this.
Watch me
Two teammates have his back. Smash gets the drop on Marion. Stays alive. They're targeting Apodera. Dreaming on. And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk? Stay there.
Welcome back, Party Fam. At game number 9, Peterbot Pollo decide, you know what, Zeke? It's time to get active. We're going to get ourselves a little victory out with 10 points. They end that game with 480 5 points. Kelly, of course it happens like this. I know I let you write the script for this major. And man, oh man, of course, with 3 games left to go, we get a VR out of Peterbot and Pollo. Now of all times, Kelly, now!
This is when they always do it. They always like to build a little bit of a story because we always go into every major thinking that Peterbot and Pollo are going to run away with it. That's just boring writing, Zeke. So instead, they make everyone sweat a little bit. They have a little bit of a struggle through day 1. And then it's day 2, in the second half of day 2, where they really start to show everyone why they are the demons of North American Central. Peterbot and Pollo now with just a 6-point lead over Curve and Venno. But more importantly, Vivid, I'm looking at Cold and Rapid dropping down. But again, that drop is not that far.
All of these teams are close enough. I mean, 30 points separates 1st and 5th place. But, I mean, Peterbot and Pollo, it may have taken 9 games for them to finally go ahead and take that throne up there in the #1 spot on the leaderboard. But from an individualistic standpoint, Peterbot is still playing like we're used to him seeing. Like, I'm looking at the damage out over the course of these 9 games. He's currently at 8,300. In 2nd place right now is actually Agers with 7,300. So Peterbot's 1,000 damaged out ahead, and that's exactly what we are kind of used to seeing. Sure, he's getting beat out right now by the likes of, Agers, Curve, Venno in the elims category, but he's still up there with those guys, top 4 in individual elims. These guys are doing good. All of a sudden, finally they get that win, and now they're at the top.
I just can't believe it. The story is what it's gonna be, and of course, right now is when Peterbot and Pollo decide to pull out a win and take over the #1 spot. But let's start to look at this top 3, right? Curve and Venno. We see them in this last game get a 12th with 8 elims, right? And it's funny because Levin joins our call and he's like, "Oh man, that's crazy. That Venno guy. Where's that Venno guy from?" He's from NA, right? We're just like, okay, buddy. Okay, Levy Poo. Man, these guys are going crazy. 57 eliminations, Kelly. You called out a number not that long ago over on EU what their record was. We're right there. We're right there with 3 late games left to go.
That is right, and we can imagine that if a little misstep happened over here with Venno, if that misstep did not happen, that they would probably even have more eliminations, if not win that game. But unfortunately, Venno did go down to this right here. However, Curve was able to hold the high ground for just a little bit, but once some of the other teams noticed that Curve was a solo on high ground, obviously it was going to be stolen. But regardless, still having that many eliminations is going to keep them up in our leaderboard. We're going to ignore that, okay?
Levy Poo is wild, by the way, Zeke. But I mean, yeah, the standings are just going absolutely crazy. It would be a lot different right there if Venno did not get bumped off of the high ground. He's going to be kicking himself for that one. But close on their heels, man. I talked about this 1st through 5th place, only separated right now by 30 points. Cold and Rapid, for the first time, we kind of see them slip out of that top 2 spot. It's been a while since we have not seen them towards the top. Rough little go for them in that game right there, but still, here's the crazy thing. All 5 of these teams going into the last 3 games, any one of them could win it.
Yeah, I mean, even look at Agers and Ritual, right? 467, right behind Cold Rapid, a single point. Even Acorn and Bolts, 455. And Acorn and Bolts get a 3rd place, 5 elims in that game, right? Like, this is absolutely going to come down to the wire. Right now, there is no clear in a way like, hey, this team is ahead by 100 points and they're just flying. It's like every team right now on NA in this top 10 is shining, right? For different reasons and at different times. So I'm almost wondering, like, now that all of these trios or duos, in the top 5 are firing on all cylinders, where do we go from here, Kelly? Where do we go with 3 games left?
I mean, for Acorn and Bolts, I think that today, for the start of day 2, it was a little bit rough. We saw them only place out of 11th yesterday, and then today starting it off, getting a 12th and then a 32nd place. And we actually saw them for the first time getting storm damage, which they didn't take out all for day 1. So obviously having these tiny changes that we've already seen them make and now seeing them back in the leaderboard, Vivid, that's what I want to see out of Acorn and Bolts.
Yeah, we'd love to see them kind of make some sort of resurgence, but no time to talk. I'm excited. I want to get back into the games.
Oh man, Jacob PR, MDF, we got a competition on our hands, boys. Take it away, bring the hype.
We definitely do. And I mean, we have the best jobs in the world. We get to sit here and watch this go down in real time. Y'all see it in about 3-minute delay, Jacob, but my gosh, it is so good right now.
No, it's definitely been exciting for sure. Our last 3 FNCS majors before this were decided by 4 or less eliminations. Yeah, the point is a little bit more spread than that, but the way this one is edging out to be, we got another photo finish on our hands. I'm strapped up, ready to go. I'm literally at the edge of my seat right now.
Yeah, that's right. You know, my attention is really starting to shift towards that top 6. We are looking at a 50-point difference between 6th and 1st place. Hobby and Aminish, one of the most underrated teams now, are somehow finding themselves in the conversation for a championship run, and no one is playing perfect so far. But I hear the battle bus, so let's see it one more time.
3 games left, Monster. Just 3 games remaining in this tournament. And already for the last 3 games that we've seen that leaderboard shuffle up so much, from Cold and Rapid being in first, Curve and Veno having a chance, to now Peterbot and Pollo being on top. And even that race at the bottom for the bubble, the top 13, 2 points separates going to Dusseldorf and having to go and try one more time.
Yeah, it's so crazy, man. Teams like Clicks and Higgs now are suddenly finding themselves in a whole different type of scenario, right? Where they have to fight for being in the top 13 at this point. Trying to get the championship win is starting to be pushed out of the question. Curve and Veno, though, switching up their strategy a bit, opting to go a little bit more aggressively to the north side, trying to see maybe if there was something here to be, of course, earned. But look at this, finds a little llama. You happy about that one?
Was Curve contested, or did he get those out of the sky? That's just my biggest question.
I don't know.
Yeah, either way, it's just a testament of, like, whether it's the beginning, middle, or end of these games. I don't know what they ate for breakfast, but I need to order me 2 of those because they are just firing on all cylinders. QK, Contrap, they had such a great moment to end the day yesterday. Most of us didn't even know where he came from. That first place, 8 eliminations, that bursted them inside of the bubble. Today, however, hasn't necessarily been going their way, but they are still so close to contention. They just need to close out strong.
You know, what I'm thinking about is Veno and Curve. Veno's probably telling Curve, like, bro, be on the lookout. Do not be surprised if Peterbot and Pollo land this, you know? Because their drop is technically big enough. And if you know Veno, he's got that main character energy, right? So does Peterbot. Like, Peterbot, the way he treats Clicks in a finals or any other rivalry that's neck to neck, he will definitely land on someone like Veno as well, just because the storyline will be so exciting to watch. And they're all that close right now.
Yeah, 20. Neko just trying to go ahead and get out of a bad spot. Both of them kind of separated. Like, Flex got a good opportunity here. Took too long to go ahead and execute on that chance, so they're going to be forced to disengage as Neko reunites along with 20, trying to push them back further and further. And that's the thing about these split drops, to where if you don't go ahead and get those eliminations on the contested drop, it makes finding that loot that much harder. Mako blanks going ahead and pressing on to Mus outside of the Riptides. They have a good 2v1 opportunity here, but they're continuously trading shots. Mus not going down without a fight. Another chance there as he lands another big tag, 26 HP. Even the knock on the blanks, he has a chance to 2v1. In comes Liquid as Duo finally arrives. They clean up that elimination, but the party does not stop here. Threats and Veer, who are once inside of the bubble, fell out, are ready to make up for those mistakes early on. They have the Fizz, they have the Shockwave. They're trying to close the gap and figure out exactly where he went. Heard the noise onto Mako, so they're just going to drop down and try to clean up this Elam.
Yeah, doing a great job chasing them down right now. Veer's got full sights here. Threat's got control of the coast as well. Should be another tag. Unfortunately, they don't quite find it, but this is still great damage, and they want these points right there. Again, found themselves in the top 10 and then fell within around that 15th place range after slipping out. So Veer and Threat still have some big games to be out here.
Just getting more and more crowded over here towards the Riptides, though. Got Nick and Skinny Cat moving on over. Threads and Veer kind of gave up positioning, chasing for that Elim. Then you have Mus and Liquid on the other side of Riptides. So even though they were able to get the couple of eliminations there, I don't think they advanced their position all too much. Higgs and Clicks, they get the legendary drop this time out of Wonky Land. better chance at those rare chests, more gold. And already at their POI, they almost get maxed mats at that mini game. They have the wonky wheel, so they have everything they need in terms of finding success. And early on, obviously, it is only the first zone. It seems like it is moving on over the western side of the map.
Last time we saw them pull a zone like this, though, Jacob, they did win the game, right? If it came this way. Flix and Higgs calling on some connects here to try to make something big happen at this point.
Cold and rapid. If you get that feeling of deja vu at all, I can agree. They're not changing up their strategy. They don't even go underneath Dark Dominion unless they have to. Cold just kind of builds up towards the top. Not only does he have to aim with those shotguns, he's going to be the primary source of finding their surge. Rapid, the big brain, the IGL of this team so far has been rotating them very, very well in the good portion of the games, but the last two, I think those will be the ones that hurt the most. 10th place, 4 eliminations, 17th place with 1 eliminations, kind of giving up that top spot on the leaderboard.
Agers and Rituals on the other side here. Bit of a quiet rotate for them right now, but close to this Dark Dominion, so I am curious what the strategy here is in the coming moments. They've almost continued to position themselves around some of that competition up on the standings. Acorn and Bolts on the other side. Bolts is very situated right now.
Yeah, I think he looks down towards Wonky Land, but you can kind of see that big base over towards the Ferris wheel. It's fully blocked off for that direction, so no easy peeks for him there. Has to look elsewhere. Over towards Latte Landing, though, where Power and Penta make themselves known. At the Reek and Cooper drop spot. Back on over towards that launch pad, typically where the primary source of rotation goes through. Cooper down below, tries to go for a cheeky shot onto Power, but he regrets that one momentarily. Pressure continues to fly his way, but Reek was able to find an opening onto Power, gets the shield gone just like that. But they're just taking so much damage from the Storm itself. Yeah, they have to get in the same box, heal up with those flashes, because they were one shot away from going down.
One Elam separates them from the top 13 lane spot right now. They cannot afford to fall here. Reek and Cooper do enough to push this team off, but at what cost? You saw them, again, healing a bunch, so we can't even tell if they're actually out positive after this exchange right here.
Oh, well, they don't want to get the elimination go for free. They get the good damage onto Power, they shockwave, they fizz, they close the distance, and now they get the knock. Instead of cleaning up instantly, they know they're going to take damage from the Storm. Let the Siphon do its thing. Reek's going to go on the chase. Sees Penta trying to run away, and he's just trying to follow suit. Only thing is, he only has one shockwave left, so yep, he's going to have to use the fizz to really make that shockwave worth it. Getting up on top of that mountain. That's going to give him a huge bird's eye view to try to figure out where Penta actually ran to. Spots the builds in the distance, safe landing into the water. But he is so far away from Cooper now, that gives Penta a 1v1 if he could just figure out it actually is a 1v1.
There's no way. He's off. He's already going right back to the bodies, thinking that they came together. But Cooper's here waiting to catch him. More good damage here. Now, this is starting to track what seems to be other duos here in the area that are just kind of sticking to their usual rotates right now. So you have to be careful, but there it is. Finally, they clean things up here at the Latte Landing. It'd be a great two-piece elimination for them, giving them that little bit of cushion that they were looking for here. They're not quite safe again inside the top 13 just yet, but they are there now after the 8 points they earned there. Meanwhile, Visual and Braids, what is this? This is a completely different strat.
Even got me shaking my head, scratching it, trying to wonder what went wrong. Typically, we see a team like this spread out on these mountain ranges that you see there in the minimap, and that's how they get a lot of their surge. This time around, maybe trying to wait for somebody to lurk in late, find something. Hopefully, they make a mistake. Timing, if it doesn't work out, though, might put them behind the rest of the curve as QK and Khan find themselves an elimination over here towards Painted Palms. Instead of going on a wild goose chase, though, they're going to let that solo player run away. Maybe they could turn back and get the elimination later. We know we're going to go for a reboot eventually, but for QK and Khan, man, this is going to be a good start to the game. Get that damage early, and once you got that Storm Surge damage early, it kind of opens up flexibility to be able to focus on the rotation instead of just getting damage.
Yeah, talk about those eliminations too. I'm gonna be keeping close eyes on visuals and breeds too, because like you said, that is such a massive risk for them to take here, waiting inside the base, hoping to ambush someone. And then you look at the map, look at how much distance there is between other players. It, again, from here looking at it, might not pay off. We'll just have to see. Peterbot Boya, though, back to the same trusty strategy, keeping this huge surge tower. This just seems to work out a lot better for them, and then pushing teams that they tend to weaken on the way. There's an Aegis, one of the few down here at the Dark Dominion. So we saw them rotate past this. They didn't go around to actually contest Cold Eruption, of course. And shots coming in from Peterbot's duo up top.
Yeah, they spotted that one out quick. Saw the surge base, saw the window open. Unlike some of the other surge bases where there is no top on their base, you can kind of, you know, crouch, uncrouch, peek over, not really give yourself away. But Peterbot built it in a way to where it's impossible to get shockwaved on for free. So usually we always talk about Peterbot and Boyle hunting teams down. I'm getting in the back of my head. Maybe they're prepared if worse comes to worse. That happens to them. They are the team to beat after 8 games so far. I should say 9 games. We're here in game 10. Let's see if that lead goes away. Muzz and Sphinx over towards Humble Hills. Zone moving on over towards Squibbly Shores. We talked about last time Clicks and Higgs had a zone move over in this favor. I think everybody here on this side of the map has just been gifted a little bit of opportunity, which includes Muzz and Sphinx, who's currently positioned 8th on the leaderboard.
Done really good today, too. 2nd place in that first game, 12th, and then a 10th, right? So a lot of in-game appearances so far for Muzz and Sphinx. Bucky and Zen. On pace right now. Great opportunity here to find some Phasma from that and Prom. Zone's going to be coming in shortly, so I'm going to make quick work of this team here and get going themselves.
You know, watching this sometimes, you just got to have a lot of patience, because there's a lot of moments to where you typically would think, I got to rotate to zone. I don't want to take the damage. I want to beat other teams there. But sometimes it's just more beneficial, especially if you have the white HP heals, to go ahead and just fight for your time. Let the Storm do its thing. Force other players at their hands, depending on what situation they're in. Especially if you have a little bit more control of your games. Curve and Veno, a different approach already. You know, in the last couple games, we see them very, very early on try to be the team on the high ground and really condition the rest of the lobby. This time around, just like we saw Visuals and Braids, taking a whole different approach. Slowing things down and just minimizing the risk of them actually getting eliminated.
They do already have 2 eliminations, too, so they're feeling pretty good about their overall damage, but as we start talking about the way this zone played out, it's going to be Clicks and Higgs who have this monstrous base set up here at the Wonky Land, as the zone has favored them for quite some time here. And look at this, plenty of extra heals to work with as well. So he's going to have to pick and choose here what they want to take on the road with them.
Plenty of time to wait. Zone is pulling towards the south. They have their wonky wheel. They have their combination of both the fizz and the shockwave to really dodge a lot of the teams at the earlier portions of that zone, kind of move out of render distance, make it easier for them to move in. And you see the zone is kind of pulling off the shores of Squibbly over into more of the mainland. And this is where you do have a few different mountain ranges that will be in play. So rotations being quick, that is of the essence here. And that's where you see now, for all those other players that have waited until this zone to try to move their way in, you're seeing Cold and Rapid, they're pulling that edge of the zone. Instead of going straight in, they know this side of the map is more than likely uninhabited by a lot of the players, so they're just going ahead, taking a slow approach yet again. They don't seem to be in a worry, and they don't seem to be desperate to make any big plays.
Yep, and they got little bushes to play with as well here. So with the zone coming back their way, look at that. They have a nice little ambush set up there. Multi-teams rotating in. Peterbot still finds himself safe in the positioning here. So long as they found their damage, they'll be just fine. Aegis and Ritual haven't really moved either since rotating their last position here. They're only 83 above, so this is a much more precarious situation to be in.
Yeah, it might look good. It might look good now with the damage being above the threshold, but you know as well as I do, the way that some of these games have been going, you'll be above in one zone and then instantly fall below in the next. much. We need to get down to a certain minimum of players for each and every one of these zones as the game does progress until it eventually does turn off down to 40 players overall. So they're really playing tiptoeing with that line when it comes to Surge. Cold and Rapid, similar situation, only 143 above, and it's not easy for them to rotate from point A to point B. About 30 damage is going to get taken off of that Surge.
One thing to note, though, they were max material coming out of that storm there, so they are in a prime position here. Don't let that material count fool you. They are getting late into the end game here. A little bit of storm pool luck here, and you'll be in a great spot to be in. Overall, though, Peterbot and Pollo, the same can be said for them. They have this high ground base. They've had the zone this entire time. They're finding a tremendous amount of damage from this advantageous spot, and now they get to shockwave out and play into the Dark Dominion. So this is actually Cold and Rapid's draw spot. And again, normally when you get the drop, obviously we've seen those teams turn these opportunities, if you will, into huge wins, if not better. But again, that is to be determined, as now we're starting to push that end game. Veno and Curve, no pressure so far. They've just been sitting on the vending machine trying to see if anyone was willing to come this way. Clearly, some people got a little too close to the fire and got burnt here. It's Magma and G Monster. This is another Veno and Curve elimination onto the same team. They just can't catch a break anymore.
Yeah, and I know the game's still going on, but with those eliminations there, they take first place in the tournament. Placement points haven't set in. It's going to continue to jumble, but it goes to show how close the leaderboard actually is through and through. Am I watching a replay? Am I watching another clip? Peterbot and Pollo are just finding opportunity after opportunity, and it's on to Veer. That is going to be a heartbreak right there if Threats cannot clutch out some good points in this game. He is only 4 points away from that bubble.
Yeah, they were doing so well after finding those 2 elims, and now lose your teammate kind of here is going to be that much more tougher. Well, you have to make at least 20 or 30 points. As we were jumping away, I think I saw Veno find another elimination there too, so the rotates are clearly working well. Yep, here it is. We get to jump in with that. They're at 5 elims now, Jacob. Things are just starting to get really pieced together for them. Take a look here. They find the lobby focus onto Jack. They get the elim credit. It just can't work any better for them now. So all that matters here for them is just going to be key positioning, playing for the end game. No one's in that base up top either. Somewhat of a vacant Storm Surge base from before. The zone is bounced back. Acorn and Bolts are still in this game as well right now. Barely holding on though, as they found themselves only 20 above. I see Clicks and Higgs there in the distance too. Meanwhile, Peterbot continuing to find eliminations.
Yeah, to start the game, Veno and Curves, 2 off-spawn elims, put him in first. Peterbot gets an elim, they take first back. Veno and Curve get a couple more elims that pushes them in first, and now they take it right back. We're literally ping-ponging as this game goes on between first and second place, but you still got Cold, Rapid, Agers, and Ritual. Acorn and Bolts all still in the mix, and you can't forget about Clicks and Higgs. All it takes is one moment to catch fire in these next 3 games to really kind of shut everything up. They do have that gold Chaos, they got the purple AR, they got Slap Pizza, they got Fizz, they got Shockwave, they got all the resources necessary to have a good game here. But the zone might play a huge role depending on where it goes. I see it moving towards the south. We're going back in and through Dark Dominion. So even though we got those buildings we need to worry about, it's not as drastic as a North Pole and all those mountain ranges.
Jacob, I also saw Visual and Braze still alive as well, so it seems like their risky play did pay off there. And the bottom right there is still fully healthy. Clicks and Higgs opting to go for high ground here. Once again, this time as early as the 8th zone, while teams are playing pretty close to second height. So this is extremely risky. Hobby and a minute still in the game as well. But Clicks with the big elim onto enough there. He doesn't get too risky either, right? He allows the loot to fall there. Comes to back up his teammate Higgs here up top. It's Bucky and Zen who are trying to fight for it though.
Yeah, and this is another reason why I think it's just a little bit too early sometimes in the game.
Pollo's down.
Not only because of material, but it's because of everybody sending it up above. You said it yourself, Pollo down. There's a lot of pressure here on the Peterbot to maintain their position on the leaderboard. Quickly peeks up, steals some of that loot away. Curve and Veno are on the other side, literally first in place, staring at each other through the wall. And I think Peterbot knows that danger's around the corner, tries to go up. Shockwave above, makes the play onto Zen. Nobody Nobody does that as a solo, and he's even backing down Bucky. They have the confidence to go up. The challenge clicks at Higgs, but now it's falling short with Peterbot storming him down.
Just doesn't get better, you know. He's just sticking to the game plan. He's like, you know what? We want to come into these games and play for high ground. It's what's going to open up positioning for me. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But Clicks and Higgs, of course, have the same strategy too. Peterbot tries to bail off, of course, but it's not going to be enough. Clicks has just got his number this time.
This is an opening curve, and Venno needed. Bolts is by himself down below. Acorn is gone as well. Another top team sent back to the lobby. Not only Curve and Venno's chance to increase that lead for first place, even with Cold and Rapid still alive, but for Clicks and Higgs to play catch up here. They have the high ground. A lot of the teams are already out of their path, but another one sends it towards the north. Another team is trying to battle up above for the high ground. Meanwhile, Cold and Rapid has let all the dust settle. You guys can have it up above. We'll smoothly walk through that finish line.
Don't forget, Javi and Aminish were in 6th place coming into this. They have a chance to fight for first as well, and they're trying to just show us that they have life in them as they go up, but Clicks and Higgs is willing to battle it back on over into their head. They're really just wrestling for high ground right now, and it's cost them so much material. Clicks and Higgs have almost given away the win condition at this point if they can't catch this refresh.
Yeah, you see Curve and Venno just waiting in the shadows
so smart
for a moment just like this. Everything up above is expended, but they're actually looking down below. Look at the material count, the lack of resources. They might have what they need to take the high ground, so Clicks and Higgs have to give it up. Javi in a minute, you said it yourself, from top 6 to start this game. This is their chance to increase their positioning, but Venno's backs up against the wall. 6 builds, tries to find his way to the front side of zone while using the bare minimum. Curve ends up in a scuffle against Clicks. No builds left. He's gonna have to reposition, and now Clicks is by himself. 2 HP. A quick peek from Venno. He returns back to the scene of the crime to take down his former teammate.
Unfortunately, he did lose Curve in the process. He finds Prom here as a solo, but no, Nut comes to back him up, and then he has to back off here completely. Look at this. Venno didn't even get to pick up any mats either. So now he's down to 4 builds. But hey, look, inside the top 10 now, still earning points, but you have Cold and Rapid making up for time lost. But Venno's still going. Down goes Taki too. And now he's at 9 eliminations here, Jacob.
This is a legacy at its finest. Venno is really trying to put on, not only for himself, not only for Curve, but the entire EU region, saying, hey, look, it could be that easy. Cold and Rapid, though, still a big pain in their side, but Rapid goes down. Muzz and Sphinx drop down from above. This is literally chaos at its finest.
This is crazy. The points here being added up. Meanwhile, Venno is just soaking up placement points because the lobby's doing the hard work for him. And he goes into monstrous shot onto Ritual. Oh my gosh. Venno just continues to do it time and time again. And don't count him out just yet. That's another huge shot. The Fullberry miss drops too. Can he get some time to pop it? There it is. Tries to break out through the top. Look at the game sense, the awareness to break out of the dangerous layer. Venno is firing on all cylinders right now, and he is still going.
I can't believe what we're witnessing. Venno is taking over in this endgame, but he has to be careful. The only solo left. He goes up for a finish on the other side. A huge shot's gonna be fired. A Minish goes down. It's a 2v1 monster.
How is he still doing it? How is he managing to earn these points? He's trying to get it back in blood. He might actually get this elimination here too. Zipta falls down. Void's all weak. And he gave us the performance we were looking for there, Jacob. Gosh.
Oh my gosh, Monster, I needed a moment to breathe there. My heart is pounding. I'm not even playing in this game, but Venno came to NA. He is taking over. He picks up Curve, and this team is a bulldozer in these NA lobbies. They're single-handedly taking down top team after top team by themselves, but Zypta, Void, they deserve all the praise in the world, Zeke.
I am at a loss for words. Obviously we want to talk about Venno, but we need to highlight Zypta and Void. Oh my gosh, the chaos that was that game. And literally Venno is just mowing down players left and right. And at the very end, it is a 2v1. Zypta Void, they take advantage of that, right? They say, hey, look, If it's just you, even gods can bleed sometimes. We'll walk away with the victory royale, 219 points. These guys are looking to secure themselves a spot going to the summit with only 2 games left to go. This puts them in a really good spot, Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, considering how crazy the low ground was, to have a full duo in that moment, being able to take on Venno, I mean, 6 eliminations, definitely going to help them up the leaderboard. But my goodness, that looked like that could have been a 1v2 in Venno's favor. But again, shout outs to that duo for getting the 10th VR of our...
Whew, that one was close. What a nail biter for the duo. Yeah, they were kind of just hanging out, right? We saw how many solos there were in that lobby, and amongst all of the chaos, amongst Venno just mowing down all the lobby, that duo there at the end, they just get to kind of look up and like, wait, where'd everybody else go, right? We only got one player to take out for the win. All of a sudden, they go ahead and they clutch it up. They take the win as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that win right there shakes up the leaderboard.
Oh man, well, we're gonna go to a break. When we return, we are absolutely taking a look at Curve and Venno. That solo clutch was incredible. We'll see you guys in just a few minutes. Don't you go anywhere.
Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. 2 teammates have his back. Where's Nash? Gets the drop on the Marion. Stays alive. They're targeting up Vanya. 3 being
I got hit with that one off. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, back up. Wait, if you're mid, wait. 100! 100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk?
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. Stay there.
Fortnite fan, we're just gonna get right into it. Venno and Carve, what the heck? Venno comes out game number 10 with one of the greatest solo clutches we have ever seen. Guys, look at this leaderboard. Peterbot and Pollo just got a VR last game, right? We thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Peterbot, Pollo, they're taking over. It's crazy. In a single game, Venno solo clutches here for a second place with 11 eliminations. Kelly Link, we are at 68 eliminations on the day.
I mean, and that is a solo clutch off of Curve and Veno having 8 eliminations before Curve went down. So it wasn't like it was just Veno in that game. But regardless, even with 8 eliminations having Curve go down, Veno was not done yet. He is never done, Vivid. And to see him play that, for a second, I thought this was Game 11 Peterbot solo once again, because we've seen that in North America. But Veno wants to show that this is not just the NA show. EU is here to represent. And look at these eliminations, Vivid.
Insane. I mean, it's like he can't miss right now. If this guy has a shotgun out and there is somebody anywhere near him on his screen able to go ahead and hit, he's hitting the shot every single time. And how chaotic some of these end games are. I mean, he is just switching layers when he needs to. He's using overdrive grenades to fly up, and even mid-air, opponents are moving, he's still hitting the shots. And everybody that was watching this must have believed that it was possible for him to win this 1v2, right? Like this, it looked like he was unstoppable. Everybody's like heart froze for a second watching that right there. And I gotta tell you, the rest of the lobby right now is in absolute trouble. We kind of saw it after game number 7. We were like, wow, whoa. These guys look absolutely different. Take a look at the individual eliminations over the course of the 10 games that we've witnessed for grand finals today. Veno is leading the pack with 37. What is possibly a little bit even more impressive is that his duo is right behind him with 31. This isn't like a solo show. I mean, obviously, yeah, the solo clutches came out, but they are both just performing on an incredible level right now, Kelly.
I for sure thought that production was wrong, that this was incorrect, and that they misplaced Curve's name. That is insane. These numbers represent everything, and I feel like I'm gonna have to add a 4th star to this airplane real soon, because this is what I want out of North American Central. And you know what? Maybe NA Central was getting a little bland, and you just gotta add a little bit of spice from EU, and that's what makes everything just taste so much better.
Whew. I am just shocked by what we just witnessed. We have 2 games left to go. Let's bring up those standings again. Wow. As we look at these standings as well, I mean, guys, even look from 1st to 5th, right? Only 75 points separating Curve and Veno from Javi and Aminish. I mean, I am just in awe. Again, this is why we call out, right? A single game of Fortnite can change everything, man. You just string together eliminations the way Veno just did, even in 2nd place. You don't even need the Victory Royale. You can find yourself climbing the standings. Oh my gosh. Agers in Ritual as well. Look at this. Jumping up 2 whole placements right now, Kelly. Off of a 6th place with 7 elims. Now, Kelly, right now, more than ever, these eliminations are so critical. There's so many points locked behind these eliminations. That's what these players need to be targeting.
I mean, Agers and Ritual, like you said, they got 8th place with, or I'm sorry, they got 6th place with 7 eliminations. Cold and Rapid that game only went down in 8th. They only got 3 eliminations. And that is why Agers and Ritual are jumping up. Literally, you could be doing really well, making it to the end game, grabbing eliminations. But if you are not just pushing yourselves above just a little bit more than everyone else, that is literally going to be the difference of tens of thousands of dollars and being able to say that you are the best in North America Central.
As I've been wrapped up in the entertainment that we have been presented with this absolute domination, I blinked and I was like, wait a minute. We've played 10 games. There's only 2 games left. We are approaching that point now where it is possible that some of these other teams that are in the top 5 could potentially be thinking about, okay, listen, they're playing way too good right now. How do we stop them? I know we kind of talk about this a lot. We saw it on EU earlier, the attempt to potentially stop them early on. Does somebody have what it takes to land on Curve and Veno to stop what seems to be unstoppable?
Whoa, Vivid! He's speaking something into existence. Kelly, we saw this over in EU and it went a certain way. Do you think it's happening? Do you think it's happening in Game 11?
No.
Probably not, but we can hope.
2 games left to go here before we say goodbye. I cannot believe what has transpired so far. With 2 games left to go, all of these dudes are thinking the same exact thing. How do we either get in the top 13 or fight for that number 1 spot? Casters, it is time. Game 11 is ready. Take it away.
Monster, I don't know if Curve and Veno will be contested off drop, but I don't think it's going to be a smart play, because something you notice first off is when they were the best team in some of these lobbies, it usually starts in the early game. On day one, it was the mid and end game where they lacked a little bit of preparation, but now that that's solved, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wants to get Sky and scrolled here in game number 11. So let's see if things are getting hyped now.
2 games left, Monster. 2 exciting chances for anybody to rise up the leaderboards. And before this moment, we had a very, very close tournament, 6 points difference. But after Curve and Veno is just phenomenal solo play, they have almost a 50-point gap.
See, but that's the thing, you know, when you listen to Veno speak, he was actually saying Curve was due for the pop-off. Curve is going to have his moment. Little did we know, the wolf was in sheep's clothing. He has been playing so crazy. It's looking like young Veno, the Veno that we knew to be one of the most dangerous fighters when he was up and coming. We're just seeing him just outperform like crazy right now. And you love to see it too, because it's well deserved. And the competition overall is extremely close. But okay, Jacob, let's get to some of this action here. Paper and Resi are still fighting for a qualification spot for themselves. That was a great 2-piece elimination.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate. That side of the map isn't necessarily my favorite. Whether you're contested, uncontested, or simply just win the fight doesn't make it any easier at all. Blake and Preston still on this side of the map. Going against the Tick and Mafia on the south side of the Frigid Fortress. Good damage onto Preston, though, giving a huge advantage on over to the other side. But Mafia has a huge chunk of HP missing as well. And this is where the lurks are starting to come in. But the longer you lurk, the longer you fight, those third parties will become a huge factor. Empen and Jack already making their way on over.
Yeah, Empen and Jack have been all over these fights here. They've had success. They've had some failures. So has Mafia. Take a look from Blake's perspective. Just kind of leaving this one out, trying to see. Misses the most important shot, though. Any little touch there, he could have sneezed on the Tick, and it would have been a big up. And Preston didn't even see him run past him either, so they just seem to be a little out of it here for game number 11. Empen and Jack not too content with the extra shots they're hitting inside of there. I think they learned a lesson last time, so they're off to disengage now.
Still got Scare and Osid at the actual Frigid Fortress just towards the north. They were the ones that, essentially the last ones standing after everything had settled, but just literally one room away. Preston and Blake, I have to imagine they know each other are here. Even the Tick as a solo, they only saw one elimination in the feed. It's about where is he at, and every single person in this scenario, Monster, is one shot away from going down or getting eliminated, and that's why you see the careful approach. But maybe Preston hears something on the other side of that wall. He's trying to tiptoe, take his time. There's a full window open, a clear shot. They double attack from both sides. That was actually a smart way to approach that from Preston and Blake.
I'm thinking Preston was looking through the cracks in the brick like, yep, I see an angle, bro. He's in here. Let's go for it. And it ends up working out. Squibbly on lock, of course, by Peterbot and Pollo. Let's see if they end up doing a big surge base or rotating out early. Try to get a fight for some surge. Maybe even some points, of course. All in all, though, oh, they're going back to that strat where they just push Chris and Drew here, who are kind of based down right now.
Yeah, and honestly, unless you think something unordinary is going to happen with Veno going down early and a lack of eliminations, one of the big ways to come back, especially for a team like Peterbot and Pollo, is through eliminations here. You talked about it yourself. They've fought this one before against Chris and Drew. They got in eliminations, but they've also went down or down to low HP, making the surge not necessarily worth it. There goes another example. They're 100 damage gone just like that. Pollo having to slow things down, trying to heal up, but Peterbot's relentless pressure gets the double edits towards the top, forcing Drew to fall down yet another layer. But we've seen this happen a few times throughout the weekend. Eventually, Peterbot and Pollo do disengage, but I'm not sure that's going to necessarily be the case. They trade shots again. Another 100 damage landing onto Pete.
Yeah, one thing Chris and Drew have done is play defense very, very well, right? Like, every time we've watched this fight go down, they actually haven't fully eliminated this team. They have managed to defend themselves more than well enough, and Peterbot and Pollo say, you know what? You got it, bruh. Once again, and they just give it to them because they know too that going back and forth is not worth it. They wait until they're ahead and they say, all right, we're gonna take the surge positive and dip out.
Sometimes you got to take the little victories. And hopefully they accumulate into a massive victory at the end of the game. So jump on board Threats and Beer. To start the day off, they were inside of that top 13. They slowly fizzled out, but as it stands now, 14th place, 264 points. 13th place is only 6 points away. So if they were able to clean up those eliminations, they would move inside of the bubble as the game does progress. On one side of the map, you can kind of see what is on the line for some of these players, and they're really just trying to put it all out there, and they leave no regrets left on the table. Carillion seems to be by himself. Not sure where Jargon's at. Possibly eliminated by UK, but they break into the same box. UK almost goes down, but he's able to not only survive, but get the elimination onto Carillion and basically tell him what he really feels.
Yeah, I was trying to find Carillion on the standings. Definitely is one of those teams on that bubble area. They haven't had enough time to really focus in on their performances, but either way, getting eliminated now in game number 11 is going to be a massive setback for any team here. And now, jumping back with this right here, Peterbot. Boy, I don't think we've seen them actually fight Skittles' team at all. So Skittles somewhat caught out of position here and into the drop. Okay, this is exactly where Peterbot wants to. They know they're not going to have teams here, not this early. And just like that, Skittles rotates out of one problem and into another one.
Ah, that's just unfortunate. Literally, Peterbot and Pollo went from finding Chris and Drew. I don't know why they disengaged, but Chris and Drew went one way, Peterbot went the other, and basically attacked two different players on one team, sent them right back to the lobby. Another heartbreak moment here in game 11, basically leaving it all to the 12th and final game for some of these teams that have been eliminated early on. And as you can see, 74 players up, Monster. This one looking to move at a little bit of an accelerated fashion than some of the other games we've seen so far.
Okay, I did find Carillion and Jargle on the standings. They're actually in 13th, holding the line with 270 points there, Jacob. Now, the jump above them is Rhea and Cooper, who have a 30-point cushion, it seems like, for 12th. But it is super close from basically that line up and down.
Really watching all the teams below you, probably even some of the teams above, just hoping they go down early, kind of ease the pain. But you can see the big difference here from Rapid and Cold and some of the other teams. Rapid literally buying out the mending machine, and then they kind of bring all the heals up towards Cold so he can kind of watch them, kind of leaving scraps essentially for anybody else that tries to rotate through and grab that mending machine. Just jump on board Void. Looks like he's getting chased down by a Beeb. Nowhere near his teammate just yet, but he's trying to use those shockwaves to close the distance.
Just look at Zipness points too. Overall today, having quite the performance here. Obviously, after that last victory royale, in a 5th place before that, they have just propelled themselves right into a potential land qualification spot. Now, they still have a little bit of a ways to go, but if they can continue to play well, they will be up towards the top here in the next 2 rounds. Visuals and Braids slipping down the totem pole. They were holding that 3rd strong for so long. These last few rounds have just been a bit tough for them.
Yeah, they have a bit of a cushion, almost 100-point cushion going into these last 2 games, but almost leaves you scratching your head. They vastly changed up their strategy from day 1 going into day 2, where they would typically set up here for a long time, just getting little tags that adds up to a good amount of surge. By the time they rotated towards those moving zones, it made it a little more free to do what they want. But more and more teams rotating over, even to close the day out yesterday, lurking on them, getting those eliminations, forcing in the back of Visuals and Braid's minds different things to go out. But they're going to go ahead and get that drop early on, just at the edge of zone. And this could be a blessing here with the zone moving towards the north. They're already set up on one of these mountains, and every team south of that line has to rotate either through Visuals and Braids or to the left or the right.
And this is definitely the better spot to be in. And, you know, this is arguably the best spot to have a monster surge base, but they seem to have gone to keeping more of a low profile. So they're trying to mix things up. And if I had to guess, teams just changed their rotation strategy, right? Coming into day 2. Maybe that's why Vision Breed is having a bit of a harder time, whereas yesterday, while everyone was caught off guard, strat worked a little better. But for Peterbot and Pollo, they're fighting for points here. It's the Squiggly Shores. Obviously, their domain. Doing a good job so far.
Peterbot just using a couple of resources that are around. Taking that spicy fish, getting a little bit of a movement boost that can help him try to break into some of these boxes. They pressure out Muzz from 2 different angles. One shot can connect from Pollo. Peterbot still holding it down, leading some of those Thunderbird shots through, getting him down to just HP. And with the zone here, yeah, it might only be a 1 tick, but it's going to increase the worry for Must. Liquid tries to go up and make a play onto Peterbot, but he gets cut short as well. He has no choice but to try and disengage. He basically gave up any hope of him and his duo either taking down Peterbot or surviving, so he moves towards the north, saying, hey, if you're going to eliminate him, I probably already have the goal. Let's just start working on plan B.
Yeah, look at that. And little did they know that he actually fully dipped on his teammates. So he could have stuck around and finished it, but not worth the risk. Really showing you, too, that, like, Peterbot and Pollo are really trying to play for an end game right now. They know that, hey, the points will come. We just got to keep winning.
Muzz and Sphinx, you know, Muzz, at least, you know, in the last major 3 in trios qualifying in the last game of the day to make it to globals. A much better position, 7th place, 430 points on the leaderboard. Just needs to be able to close it out strong in the last 2 games. Listen and Aloe in the mix as well, just trying to float above one of these teams. They're going to be in 23rd place, 214 points. I want to say roughly like 56 points away from getting inside of that bubble. That's definitely going to help him tenfold. Raven does go down. Aloe already trying to shockwave over. CDZ realizing the shockwaves are coming in. He's going to try to disengage himself. Can't be the hero in a situation that started so fast.
Unfortunate turn of events here for CDZ and Raven. They find themselves at the bottom of the standings here, but hey, all of this is experience gathered and effort learned. Saw Agers there find G Monster in the feed. So Agers continuing to do what he needs to earn himself some points to continue to fight his way back into first. It's neck and neck up at the top. No teams can make a mistake now. If you're Acorn and Bolts, you're going to need to have those big game wins as well. Otherwise, the dream is out.
Yeah, which is surprising to start this day. We're talking about the phenomenal play from Bold, solo impact, him and Acorn's ability to remain consistent in each and every one of these games. It's just something went wrong today. You know, compared to yesterday, they had a 32nd place and 19th. They did make up for it in a moment with a 3rd place with 5 eliminations, but now they're 98 points away from first place. 2 games left. Almost have a little bit of control over their destiny. They really got to hope for Curve, Benno, H, Ritual, Cold, and Rapid. A whole slew of players to have a much worse performance than they've had so far, even on average. As Ages and Ritual rotating back on over towards Sandy Strip. Another team, uncontested drop. They really have conditioned a good portion of this lobby to stay away from this mending machine.
You know, and I'm just thinking, Javi and Aminish actually jumped up a placement point last game as well. Their average placement so far in the tournament is 8.6. The best of all the teams right now inside of the top 5. That is a pretty impressive stat, just kind of taking a surface glance at it right now. Everyone else, though, clearly, though, has way more elims. That's why they have the higher points overall. But still, Javi and Aminish playing exceptional right now. It's a great time to just start checking in with them. What's going well with them? Why can they keep making it work here? It seems like the Frigid Fortress is treating them very well.
Yeah, and honestly, an unlikely duo coming into this one. You know, at one point, it was Reet and Javi, Aminish with a whole nother player, and Reet goes ahead and says, hey, Cooper, you want a duo? We're not playing as well as we would hope. So he goes a separate way. Javi and Aminish, they form just in time to have a phenomenal performance in play-ins. They followed up with a good performance in heats, and already continuing that trend here with a top 5 position on the leaderboard, 75 points away. What could be both of those players' first FNCS championship. But again, when you look at the leaderboard on the right, it's just so close, not only for the actual first place on the leaderboard, but the top 13 overall, where you see 13 and 14th place have already been eliminated out of this lobby. And honestly, you don't want to look back at this moment, Monster, saying, hey, I had the chance and I wasted it.
Yeah, most definitely. And I'm actually looking at the standings just for like Javi and Aminish's, you know, placement performances. They actually have 2 second places in there, and last game obviously pulled that 3rd. So they have come close to a win multiple times now. We will be keeping an eye on them. But with Cold and Rapid here from the Dark Dominion now to this new draw spot so far, it seems to be playing off relatively well. They have 400 damage above, plenty of material, and they actually pull zone. Okay, this is really good for Cold and Rapid right here. They actually needed a little bit of luck, and it seems like it's playing off.
Yeah, I'm thinking in my head, the only thing they're missing is a little bit of high ground, but it's Cold and Rapid. When do they ever play on the high ground? Exactly, they get what they want. Just like Peterbot and Boyo, relentless pressure throughout the entirety of this game. They're almost 1,000 above the threshold, but you wouldn't think that to be true. They only have one elimination so far, so they're going for it. They're going for these high elim games. It's just they're not finding any success on the actual eliminations up until then, where they take down both Jack and N-Pen before they got to rotate to the next zone. So that's going to replenish a lot of their builds. They can pick and choose what resource they want to take with them before they finally make their way on out.
This is crazy because they're really playing to their strengths right now. Goes the Flowberry miss, so they're just going to be shock waving their way all the way into the zone. Shoot, they might even end up on some high ground here shortly. They have the mats to play for it, but Peterbot gets caught in a spider's trap right there. Got to be careful. On the other side, as we were watching that though, we missed what was happening over here. Flex, buddy, you're looking the wrong way. Veno knocks him upside the head, and then they get the follow-up in the finish.
Off the distance, 8-corner bolts, quickly rotating in towards the zone. And they're using that as a quick second here to look back, seeing anybody that still has the journey to make, like Dolzir and Ishu outside of the zone. They're just pressuring, trying to make it harder for them to not only make it in, but even if they do, they're not going to make it in healthy. Another elimination towards the side. Slepsy and Wage was able to pick up one. Maybe push Paper and Rezi back as Curve, looking like he's trying to approach in that direction. You see Veno peeking through the cone, gathering vital information for their team. And you can see Veno and Curve are the only team who haven't been hit by any surge so far in each and every one of these games. It's just going to show that that early game presence by Curve and Veno is paying off tenfold.
They've just been the most aggressive. They've, again, been clearly the most successful in the early game. This game's a little bit slower for them in the early game, but their mid game is just taking off right now. They are in another prime situation to play for high ground here in the end game, and we know what they do well. They play it late. They let people get their first, little taste of height, and then they come in and put their influence to the test. Rapid and Cold, though, much different strategy for them. We've seen them play low ground, time in, time out, front side, dead side, you name it. They'll be there. Comes to rotates though, this is still a difficult terrain to play with, right? They have to go up and over this mountain, which you have Peterbot and Boyo now completely positioned up, and then you have Clicks and Higgs already basing on the opposite side.
So many times we've seen teams take it early. Clicks and Higgs were able to hold it early on in day number 1, but since then, honestly, it's been changing hands for each and every one of these zones here in the end game as they position themselves above. Peterbot and Boyo have the luxury to stagger themselves back. Look down, rainfire from above. Not necessarily getting eliminations here, but they are just hurting every single player they connect shots with as they rotate on over. Curve and Veno positioned down below. Hop gonna minish towards the side. Clicks and Higgs. We've seen in previous games them try to go ahead and claim high ground as their own. They don't necessarily have that luxury up until now. They pull zone in their favor, and they immediately build up saying, hey, if you want high ground, come take it from us.
That's crazy. And that's so different than anything else we've seen from Clicks and Higgs. They've been building single straight standing towers, but now Higgs is putting up this huge flex right now with a monstrous base. Veno and Curve here have no issues fighting their way to the new zone, though. That was almost a fresh elim. Oh, actually, it is an elim as things catch up there. Veno finds another one. And he was already in the lead, Jacob, with the most amount of elims, and he's continued to do so. But look at this, not looking good. Boyo's down. Peterbot comes through to clutch up. He finds one. Can he get the follow-up here? He's doing so much damage, but he can't quite get the finish, but it's okay. He's bought Boyo enough time to get saved here.
Yeah, and they have the splashes. They're going to have to instantly start to use those along with the pizza, but the zone is moving in. 10 ticks of damage, instantly popping the big pot. Really trusting Peterbot to get those splashes out in time. They have to be careful, though. Right above them, Clicks and Higgs, and even in front of zone, we got Curve and Veno. We got Muzz and Sphinx as well. Honestly, the storylines couldn't be any better here in this game because you got first place right now. Curve and Veno could be the first time a player has won in both EU and NA, two of the hardest hardest region,
God.
and they find a big elimination on the Peterbot, taking one of the hardest teams out of their path to the finish line.
Boyo's down and out. The full elim comes through right there, Jacob, and he gets the finish as well. And just like that, they're up in the lead now. Clicks and Higgs, though, on high ground, doing exactly what they need to do. They have solidified the positioning here.
He's doing a good job sacrificing a little bit of HP so that way they can go deep into the zone, reconnect on that high ground. It's going over towards Frigid Fortress. That gives them the luxury to look towards the backside of zone, seeing players late to shockwave in, but they think it's all smooth sailing. But Curve and Veno wait for these perfect moments. They've elevated themselves step by step, and they're waiting until they least suspect it. But Peterbot's still going on his rampage. Big down onto Dragon, trying to pick up that elimination. But Curve and Veno, they're matching him blow for blow.
8 elims now. Veno is really starting to heat up here, and they're not even interested in jumping down for Max. Notice that. They want to maintain this positioning, and they're still trying to time for high ground here to try to play for another win. Higgs, though, is the only one up top. They send Clicks down low. Clicks finds Peterbot, finishes him up, sweeps him under the rug, and now Veno and Curve. Here comes the setup. Off they go. Curve's got no mat, so they have to concede to go lower and lower here. And this terrain's not helping. Look at all these old builds as things are moving back and forth, but Veno, Curve are still neck to neck with Clicks and Higgs right here.
Yeah, Curve and Veno, I feel like they know they don't even necessarily need the high ground. They don't even necessarily need the win. They just need to remain consistent. That slows them down a little bit. Big shot is going to land onto Veno. Pressure coming from up above. Thank gosh that Curve is there to alleviate some of the pressure, holding on to the build. But if you blink, you might have missed it. Higgs has went down. Clicks trying to go for the revive. Curve and Veno realize nobody else is up there to contest it. They use the fizz. They use the shockwave. They instantly take away that high ground. 6 teams left, Monster, and everybody at least has the duo by their side unless it's cold. He goes down. Rapid is now left by himself.
And he has the awareness too. The awareness to keep shooting back at them. Veno tries to keep the pressure, but the shockwaves put Clicks and Higgs up on high ground, and they know we don't have enough mats to hold this one down. Clicks and Higgs managed to have just enough HP though to go ahead and heal back in this game, but then you have Rapid. Look at this, just solo surviving right now as a player here in the mid ground right now, trying to evaluate what he wants to do here, but he's got pressure coming in from potentially Veno and Curve here on the layer. Right behind he comes, and he actually finds Curve. It's gonna be Muzz who jumps in, and they get the full finish.
Yeah, but still, that's no worries to me. Veno's just taking this time to heal up. Quickly go and scurries outside of the zone. Still almost a full chug jug left, but Higgs quickly on the chase. Gets a good amount of damage until the zone does the rest. Clicks and Higgs have finally woken up from their slumber. From day 1 to day 2, they finally found their form back. 5 eliminations here, but Rapid is still up, trying to close the gap. Pig down onto Sphinx, separates him from Muzz, but you see he has no builds. He probably feels in the back of his mind he has to get this elimination, but underneath, Braids takes him down, gets the elimination, and moves 1 step closer to first. Oh,
I was gonna say, talking about the slumber, Bolts and Acorn were down low. Now they're the sleeping giants starting to wake up here, putting their influence in the mix, but you have a lot more players to worry about. Braids and Visuals are here to mess around as well. They also need the refresh too, as they're out of material, so they're gonna be forced into this fight here, whether you like it or not. And then, of course, Clicks and Higgs have to come down and jump in this battle as well. Bolts uses the shockwave to go up. Someone gets eliminated in the sky. It's actually Clicks. He couldn't touch down in time. And Bolts and Acorn all of a sudden now find themselves in a winning position, and the shot goes through. And just like that, Bolts manages to do it again here.
Yeah, Bolts and Acorn pop off in the second to last game of the day, becoming the second team to win 2 different games this weekend. And in a leaderboard, Monster, in a world that is so stacked and close, this one is surely going to move them 1 step closer to contending for another FNCS championship. Zeke, 1 left game to go. Let's do it.
I keep thinking, man, like, I've got a handle on it. There's like, you know, Zeke, just follow the action. It's all cool. And no, man, we literally just talked about the top 5 right before this, right? And Acorn and Bolts were that 6th place team. They were the team on the outside, and they said, Zeke, I'm sorry, did you forget about us? We can now be in the top 5. Why did you forget about us? And now they are fighting for our love and affection. I cannot believe this. Game 11 with so many Titanic duos, all doing the same thing, thinking, bro, We can do it. This is our chance with 2 games left. We can fight for an axe. Acorn and Bolt say, you know what? We'd like to toss our name in the hat. Little name in the hat. There you go, Zeke. Go ahead. Shuffle it up. I don't know. Kelly, I'm losing it. I'm freaking out.
I mean, this really was the game for our teams in that 6th to 10th place spot. Everyone that was in our top 5 having some issues, either going down to a solo situation or going down early, you know, unless you're Venno. But this Acorn and Bolts that were just right outside of that edge, making sure that they're just playing the low ground. They're playing what they do best. They don't need to be disruptor. They don't need to be getting all these eliminations. They just need to make it to the end game right there. And Bolts once again going to a solo, improving that he is going to make sure that him and Acorn stay at the top of our leaderboard.
So funny. Game 11 there. I mean, we're just watching all the chaos kind of unfold on night. Oh my gosh, Peter Bot's trying to hold it. Clicks and Higgs, they go up for it. Venno and Curve, they start to get active. All this stuff's happening. Elim. And then we take a look at where everybody else is at. Acorn and Bolts on the low ground. 100, full healthy duo. And they finish the game just like that as a duo. Incredible stuff for them to kind of re-enter the conversation, not only in that game specifically, because they didn't even know they were alive in that game. All of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, they're chilling on the low ground. But now I can only imagine how close they are to keep themselves back in the competition for the win.
Oh my gosh, that little angle, that little tiny little corner was the difference maker. 574 points. Fortnite fam, we have 1 game left to go. We're gonna go to a break. Okay, I need a moment to breathe. Okay, I need a moment to breathe. When we come back, we start setting up because this is a close run. Okay, go find some popcorn, find a drink, use the bathroom. We'll be right back. Okay, we'll be right back.
Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive. Watch me arrive.
2 teammates have his back. There's Nash. Gets the drop on the Marion. Stays alive. They're targeting up Vanya. 3 being
I got hit. I'm popping a med bit. Wait, short. Got 6 builds? No, max up.
Wait, if you're mid, wait.
100! Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
And I don't know how to feel about it.
You're not used to losing. Getting beaten?
Not like this. These players are just so locked in.
Could it be the milk?
It's okay.
Stay there.
I'm fine. I'm calm.
He's not. He's not.
Everything is okay. In case you're joining us, welcome. This is the FNCS Grand Finals. No big deal. One of the most important moments in the FNCS. We have one game left to go. You know, hey, crazy stuff happened in that last game. Acorn and Bolts got themselves a victory out of that last game. That's crazy, right? Yeah. Why don't we go and take a look at the standings, because it gets crazier. Because right now, Curve and Venno are in first place with 659 points. Kelly!
They have 78 eliminations, more than double that of Acorn and Bolts. Venno and Curve have showed today what they do best. Those early eliminations, going into mid-game, making sure that they don't have to worry about Storm Surge, and then controlling the mid-ground, either chopping people from above or eliminating people down below. They do it time and time again. And you know what? Maybe day one wasn't their day, but it's better late than never. Venno showing everyone why he is not just moving states like we see a lot of these players do in North America. No, he's moving countries to claim this as his own. Manifesting destiny is all about America's history, and he's showing why Britain did it first over here.
Please put an absolute huge exclamation point on the fact that these guys were in 10th place coming into the day. We have played 5 games, and they now have an 85-point lead over second place. I don't know what kind of crazy stat or how this is going to look on paper, but this has to be one of the most incredible day 2 performances, day 2 comebacks, whatever you want to call it, that we have ever seen. I mean, look at 78. How in the heck? What's even going on? These guys, every single time we watch the game, it's just a highlight reel for them.
Dude, you know, we were talking about it during the break there, and it's like at a certain point, this is going to become mathematically impossible, right? Like at a certain point, we've tuned into them at like the early stages of the game, and they have 4 or 5 or, you know, even 3 elims, right? They just have to do what they've been doing all day long, and they will walk away as the winners. Now, we only have a minute and a half. I really quickly just want to flip on over the top 13, right? Yes, we are absolutely playing for a first place and an Axe of Champions, right? But we also can't forget top 13 are right now playing for their spot at the summit. 298. Do not forget that number going into this game. 298 is the current cutoff. Seek and Taki are holding that. But guys, we have one game left to go. Let's even just look at Scare and Osid, right? We saw Scare and Osid pop off earlier on, like not even just a few weeks ago. They could try and play for that spot. Look at Jargu as well, right? Even Zypto, we saw them get a Victory Royale. I mean, Kelly, there's so many players. This goes down to 20, Kelly.
Yeah.
It's possible.
It's literally like 42 points that separate 13th from 20th place, and I'm guessing it's even closer down below. So we could probably get to page 3, see teams in our 30th place spot. And if they have that pop-off game, and we know that there is a possibility of some teams just kind of sliding by, making it into the top 5 and just grabbing a handful of eliminations, that right there is 90 points and could be the difference maker of going to Dusseldorf or not. Vivid, this is what NAC is all about. We have so many big names in the top. All the teams that we have been talking about are finally showing up right now, and this is the final game.
It's crazy. I mean, there's so much stuff going on that leaderboard, so much we could break down, but there's only one way to find out who's going to walk away, not only champions, who's going to get second, who's going to get third, who's going to qualify to the LAN event, and that's just to play the games.
Vivid, the last game of the day right now. Fortnite fam, lock in every single thing that these players do. Whether they get an elim or get eliminated, this is it. The last game to make the impossible possible. For the last time today, MDF, Jacob PR, take it away.
Honestly, Monster, I've never seen so many storylines go down the leaderboard so far. Curve could win his first FNCS champion. Venno could win 2 titles on the hardest regions with EU and NA and add his 4th overall. Acorn could win another major one. Bolts could be a West and Central champion. Cold back on top. Rapid wins his first. I could keep going all day, but it just goes to show the stories are endless today.
This is what makes NA one of the best regions to watch. It's what is really the pinnacle of what Fortnite's all about. And we, of course, have the privilege of calling all the action here. You've been watching it go down. Let's see if luck is on their side.
Coming into a game 12 of honestly the most recent FNCS is almost a year now. People always have that same conversation. Who will land on first place? And right now, it looks like we have an interesting situation breaking down. Peterbot and Pollo look to contest Curve and Veno, but Curve and Veno already seen that one coming. They leave, they go to Squibbly Shores, and they get another early game elimination. Zeke said it, Monster. Eventually, this will become mathematically impossible for anybody outside of Curve and Veno to win.
I called it. I already knew this was going to happen. I knew that Veno was someone that Peterbot and Pollo respect at such a competitive level. They would be willing to contest them. They would be willing to try to throw their tournament off. But Veno is one of the smartest players we've ever had, and he will see it from a mile away. So even now, them just mixing up, it's just a safety strat. It's to say, hey, who wants to battle us? Come bring it. We're not afraid to mix it up. We're not afraid to stay dynamic here in the last game.
Looks like Peterbot and Pollo going into this game, though. With that elimination, of course, with Veno and Curve, they are 98 points away from an FNCS champion, and that's only playing catch-up to Curve and Veno. They still got so many big names in their path that they're looking to take it. They probably noticed that Curve and Veno weren't at the Battlewood. They immediately turn around. They got a hint of what's going on. Maybe they think this is them, but it's Raven and CDZ, a whole nother team. This gives a huge moment here for Curve and Veno to look on over, possibly engage, possibly disengage. The choice is definitely theirs, especially since it's taken a little bit longer than we'd hoped. Peterbot lands a shot, but Pollo goes down. Raven is escaping back inside of the building. That puts Peterbot in a 1v2.
Oh no, and the finish comes through as well. And that is not the way you want this to start going down right here. If you're Peterbot or Pollo, you need so many more points. You cannot afford to be get set this far behind. Peterbot, though, in a world of trouble here. Plenty of enemy builds. He's gonna have to back off. Shot through the wall as well. This is, of course, Raven and CDZ's one chance to go in and pounce on him. But Peterbot's back in the mix here, fully healthy. Misses an important shot here, and things are looking pretty south now for him.
Yeah, the biggest thing here was Peterbot was able to get the materials from Pollo, but Raven lands another monster shot, getting the shield gone out from Peterbot. He has the minis still there, but he's running out of builds. CDZ and Raven really don't have no materials down below, so they can't not fight upwards, so he has to drop down low. Peterbot again trying to take the fight to them as CDZ gets dropped to this. Less than 50 HP, but a third party's coming in, Monster. A third party from the east, from Dark Dominion, looks to interrupt this play.
Say I wouldn't be surprised if it's you-know-who, but give it a second here. Raven, CDZ being a little too passive now. They had an opportunity to finish up this elim. They back off instead. Rapid and Cold show up, and they are cleaning up house faster than ever. They find two quick elims, even shooting the down body just to show and flex that they're here as well. And look at this. They are hunting for poor Peterbot, who's now hiding inside of the factory. Just unprecedented type of end game right now. You never see this level of clash go down here. Definitely not for the likes of Peterbot. He's normally the one hunting. Now he's being hunted.
Yeah, they probably saw in the feed that Pollo did go down, so they immediately left their drop spot to beeline it on over. This is a team that's on their tail. Cold is in third place. You see it there. Peterbot and Pollo in fourth place. It really was asking the question, is anybody going to be brave enough? With the point gap so close, you would really risk your spot on the leaderboard if you were looking to go on the chase. But Veno, Curve, they not only left their drop spot at Battlewood, they left their second drop spot at Squizzly, and they're already going on the hunt for these elims. They don't want to win after Game 12, Monster. They want to win during this game so they can take a much-needed victory lap.
Well, this is crazy. You know, if you just allow them to continue to get elims like this, which they have done extremely successfully, way more successfully than any other team here on the weekend, they will be too far ahead. We would be asking so much of Cold and Rapid. We're talking upwards of 10, 15 elims and a victory royale. Give this a second now. So from one team wipe onto another now, Dozier and Escher trying to fight the fired up Veno and Curve here. Meanwhile, Curve has been live this entire time, by the way. Do not sleep on him. This is, again, nothing like we've ever seen before.
Yeah, especially for Mom and
Peterbot's
Pop Curve. Imagine him. Oh, he is eliminated by Cold and Rapid. Peterbot goes down in 4th place, tied with Agers and Ritual. Could only get worse from there, but Veno takes a big shot, but he is not backing down. Ishu gets eliminated. The Siphon comes in. Much needed builds get replenished by Veno. Curve not slowing down, trying to alleviate the pressure. Lands a huge shot on the Zosier and the elimination one as well. 5 elims, Monster. 5 eliminations here. This is domination at its finest in Major 1 on NA Central.
Looking so good for them right now. Rapid and Cold right now on the hunt too, just trying to figure out what is going on here. They're already at 3 elims as well. So Rapid and Cold are playing so aggressive too. You got to give them credit right here. We know what the task at hand is. We know what needs to be done. And it really does feel like the impossible. It's asking them to pop off right now and go into the upper double-digit elimination territory and potentially win the game. Because for them, it's about the championship victory. Jumping over to Carillion and Jargudo, playing a little bit of the storm fight right here, keeping us busy right now.
Essentially, 2 sides of the coin. We're watching the battle for first. Oh, Veno's down. Veno is down, but Curve saves the day. What are we witnessing? This is a montage performance. I don't want to call it too soon, Monster, but this is beginning to look like a victory lap for Curve and Veno.
The writing's on the wall. You just have to read it, brother. All right? It's whenever you're ready, just let us know. They're at 6 eliminations now. Acorn and Bolts. A little cheeky here, though. Trying to see if anyone's willing to kind of sneak on by to find a couple elims right now. And let's just paint the bigger picture. Obviously, Curve and Veno off to the races right now. A 100-point gap separating them from the rest of the competition. And then you have so many other teams trying to fight for a land spot to the Global Summit. It's right around the corner. Who is going to be in Germany? Only the top 13 will make it.
And as it stands right now, in order for Cold and Rapid to win the tournament, and this is as it stands right now, they need Curve and Veno to go down outside of top 25 with not a single elimination more. And then they need to win the game with 10 or so eliminations in the double digits. So it's going to show how much of a runaway this is turning into. And that's where you see a lot of lurks going down, because it's not only the battle for first. If you look at Tyler and Chance here, 391 points on the overall leaderboard. They're in 10th place. If they go down early, they can kiss their summit spot goodbye.
It'd definitely be really close for them. They'll be holding on to a thin margin. Taki and Seek on the other side. Same can be said for these teams here. 208 points earned on the tournament day. So you are seeing moments of greatness here coming out. Some of our competitors here on the 2-day format.
It's not gonna make a quick, clean glide here. They're just trying to dodge all the noise down below, having to worry about Surge, having to worry about others rotating in your path. Be a good plan for Seek and Taki here. 13th place. They just need to hold on to their current spot on that leaderboard. Clicks and Eggs, though, a moment ago, did see them in the feed. They picked up at least one more elimination here. They, too, have a little bit more of a cushion than some of the other counterparts. 430 points in 9th place. They just need to make sure to finish strong. It's more of a confidence thing than anything else, I feel like, at this point.
Yeah, gotta find their groove, but again, you've made it this far. They had such exceptional moments of greatness, but in the end, everything has to come together. And then how do you account for having the Curves, the Colds, those types of performances that we've seen? It's tough to ask. All things have to come together. Cooper and Rito, they're still fighting for their qualification seat. They're not fully safe just yet. Not at least how I feel. Let's take a look at the standings here. This is going to put them at 12th place there, Jacob. So close.
Yeah, I would say they have a 22-point gap from 13th, which is actually the line. And then about a 44 or so point gap between them and falling outside of the bubble, which means anything could be possible. If they go down, let's just say 15th place, and anybody else kind of is able to secure a top 8 or better, they can certainly overtake them on the leaderboard. But definitely so many different possibilities here as the tournament continues on. Threats in Beer, a team that started inside of the bubble on the day, shortly fell out of it and is trying to work their way back. Aviv and King, another similarity here, 17th place coming into this game, which means those eliminations, 8 more points, is definitely going to boost them up the leaderboard just a little bit. I think that almost puts them on the line outside of that bubble around 14th place with those elims.
Yeah, Aviv and King, the last 2 games have played really well, actually making it to endgame, and this time they actually have 4 total elims, so just a monstrous performance so far, definitely stepping up and doing what they need to when it matters most. And often Saul kind of see what's going on here. They end up backing off. You have Osid and Scare, another team that's very much in the conversation right now. Looking at how they've played, we have a 4th place as far as their best performance so far in last game, roughly 15th for them with a single elim. So not too bad, definitely earning some placement points. If they can keep that up, they might just be doing enough to jump up. And in.
This is going to be an interesting lobby slash end game. Because if you look at like day 1, we were getting what, fourth zone surge, sometimes even earlier because how stacked the lobby is. To start the day, we were getting 5th zone, maybe 6th zone surge. There's only 60 players up. There's only 30 teams left in this lobby right now in the 4th zone. So it's rather thinned out, moving at a much more accelerated pace. So you have to be careful on some of these rotations. So instead of being able to rotate, stack with a bunch of other teams, hoping they choose them instead of you, now some of these rotations will be a little bit more bare with you and maybe 1 or 2 other teams being the only one rotating in that direction.
I mean, when you have Cold, Rapid, Acorn, Bolts, Curvin, Veno looking for elims, right? Trying to either push the gap, close the gap, like this is what happens. The lobby will tend to thin out. And then everyone else, of course, trying to fight for their qualification spot. Look at this though, Veno, Curve inside the storm right now. They surely know they've done enough, right? So now it's just time to chill out, hang out, enjoy the storm for a little bit. Here on the beach, have no reason to really put themselves in any danger here.
None at all, especially with the zone moving on over towards the south. They know they can essentially ride the shoreline, whether they try to make a little shortcut in, go on top of the mountains, they can go all the way towards the south. They do got 1 zone, though, that they really have to worry about. So going from zone 4 to zone 5, it moves from a 1 tick of damage into 2. From zone 5 to zone 6, it would move from a 2 tick damage into a 5. So even though they do have a lot of time on their side, they don't want to use all their resources just getting into zones. Since you can kind of see on the map there on your left side that so many other teams are also outside of the zone and inside of their path that could certainly cut them off.
Yeah, definitely. They're moving really quickly. Wagers and Sleepsy, though. Look at this. A little bit of a high ground position right here. Still, though, no surge warnings in sight. This game is moving so fast right now as the lobby's starting to thin out. And this is a pretty congested north side of the Battlewood Boulevard, so kind of a new site for us, if you will. Looking at the names that are in play here. Jack, N-Pen, Acorn, Bolts. On the other side, Osid and Scare. Scare, though, gets fully finished right here. One of our bubble teams is out to the hands of Sikentaki. This is super important. Actually, it was Wagers from up top. It wasn't Sikentaki, but they're right next to that collateral damage.
Almost all the same, though. Sikentaki, that 13th place, Scare and Osid, or I should say, just one Osid by himself. Is going to be in 14th place. He has a bit of a gap to overcome. Hey, anything is possible. 29 teams still up, so 4 more go down. You'll start to get those placement points, and they'll cascade in with each and every team that does go down. Contrapt's going to fall, and already 1 less team to worry about here. 55 players left in this game, so there's only 1 solo running around, and that's going to be Osid.
Gotta do what he gotta do, though. It's really close, yet so far now. It's all going to come down to, can you earn your way towards the positioning placement points there? Still see Reet and Cooper up in the distance. Agers and Ritual here sitting pretty. Got the box open, eyes on Acorn and Bolts. Little did they know. Oh, look at this zone, though. It pulls north. Okay, so this is going to be working against the likes of Curve and Venom, who obviously were wrapping far around the outskirts.
Just trying to get not necessarily damage for Surge as it does turn on. 14 players do need to go down, but you can see where they stand. 400 above the damage threshold. Since they're right next to the zone monster, they don't have to do much movement at all. Just kind of focus on getting that damage while not receiving much. Acorn and Bolts try to land some shots onto N-Pen and Jack in the distance, inadvertently kind of alleviating some of the pressure. N-Pen and Jack could have looked to get aggressive. Acorn and Bolts 132 above the damage threshold. They sit in 3rd place on the leaderboard, a mere 6 points out of 2nd. A huge chunk of money differential. And I'll talk about Bolts. If somehow, some way, a miracle can happen, Acorn and Bolts keeps the major one magic alive. Bolts will become another player on that short list of 2 region champions. I know Veno is certainly in line to becoming another player on that list in 2 of the hardest regions in Fortnite, in NA Central and EU.
Yeah, definitely looking to make history here and now. Reet and Cooper sitting pretty strong right now, guys. 340 damage above, safe in the zone, plenty to work with right now. That's the type of position you want to see Reet and Cooper in if they're going to land. Seek and Taki on the other side, same can be said for them. Still have a couple shockwaves to work with. Not too many to make it towards endgame, but hey, enough to at least stay in the race here for quite some time. It's all going to come down to a refresh for Seek and Taki, though. See if they can time the rotate. Looking at who's positioned up, though. Clicks and Higgs trying to end this one with the splash. Already you can see them poison up for that high ground here, Jacob.
Yeah, just still, no matter what's been going good or bad in some of these games, they're just continuously one of the teams that, you know, if they make it this far into the game, they're going to contest for that high ground. King and Aviv just outside of that bubble sees 2 teams with a little bit of a scuffle going on. They try to land some shots before they go ahead and make their way on over. They're just trying to pressure them so that way they don't make any peaks, makes the rotation that much safer. That was Reet and Cooper in that distance. They're 193 above the damage threshold, inside of that qualification ring. They just need to be able to hold on here, especially more so now with Javi and Aminish looking to walk them down.
Really close now to earning some positioning points here as well. 28 teams still standing. Curve finds Kingeling there in the feed. Veno super hit up off the rotate here. That brings them up to 7 eliminations. And Curve finding his moment, finding his footing now. These last couple games, I mean, it's been the Veno show, but Curve has stepped up when it mattered most. Even in this game, clutching Elim after Elim, and now finding the follow-up and the refresh that they need to succeed here. Clicks and Higgs, though, just want to do what they can do best.
Uh-oh. Not the best spot to be in for a team in 2nd place, below the damage threshold. Boats persistence there is able to lead some shots through underneath that cover, get them above the damage threshold. A mere 5, but at least it's something. They're not taking active surge, but 25 damage every 7 seconds. Blake and Preston trying to put down some pressure, but only for a short moment. Bolts is going to be able to hold off. Get through the comb, though. Getting this information is going to be vital, but Muzz gets the down onto Clicks. I see it in the feed. Sphinx even gets the cleanup here. High ground changing hands, but it's not Muzz and Sphinx. Right now, it looks like Aviv. It looks like Curve and Veno are all fighting for it.
Yeah, if you look at it, Curve, Veno come in out of nowhere, just trying to time that high ground, and up they go. Meanwhile, Threats and Beer still fighting to stay in the tournament life as well. Higgs on the left side clutches up a nice little Elim for himself. That's going to drop G-Monster and send him back to the lobby. He might not have enough to make it to land. Meanwhile, high ground is solidified by Muzz and Sphinx, but Higgs gets swiped out the sky, hanging up for a little too long. Acorn and Bolts fighting for 2nd at this point. If you can't take down Curve and Veno now, it'll just be too late.
Yep. Literally, this is the moment right here. As soon as they get into the top 15, I almost think it's a wrap. Mathematically impossible. Threats drops down low outside of the bubble. I'm not sure he secured enough points before finally going down there. Muzz and Sphinx up above. Reet and Cooper sacrificing the HP, staying outside of the zones. That way they can fizz, they can shockwave, and hopefully get to the front side. But they're just taking so much damage. They don't have the heals to get up to full HP and shield anymore.
Muzz and Sphinx still putting pressure from up top. Cooper, Reet trying to stay alive. Seek and Taki fighting their way towards a qualification, and teams are dropping faster than you can even realize. We're already up into the top 17 now. Curve and Veno are not stopping, though. Another team falls to their hands. It's a Minish and Hobby. A top 5 performance was valiant for them on the standings coming into this. But it's Curve and Veno who are fighting for the championship win now. And look at this, Jacob. I mean, they are breaking away with a huge lead.
Yep, and even when it looks like it's bleak, Veno gets dropped down to a sliver of HP. They're surviving. Bolt's trying to do the same thing. 5 HP, loses Acorn though, so we need another big solo clutch performance. Almost runs into Curve and Veno all along the way, but he's able to slip past them as Curve and Veno find another elimination before Veno finally goes down. Curve is out of builds here, trying to use the shock to splash to keep himself as full of HP as possible. Even finding a Fizz to utilize here on the side. Curve, I think, has done enough inside of the top 10. He finds another elimination onto Cooper. Curve might have gone down, but they are your FNCS Major 1 champions.
They've done it. They've done enough to be up at the top, to sit on the throne now. Veno is the conqueror of 2 regions here, and Curve, his first time ever, gets to taste that victory here. But for now, Muzz and Sphinx are trying to find their victory lap. This is all a battle for money. This is all battles for seats at the LAN event where the story will continue.
Jargu needs this. Jargu needs this game here. They were 15th place to start it all, and now he's the only solo left in this game. The 2 teams that are left alive, Monster, both of them already have their spot secured, so this is everything for Jargu by himself. Tries the shockwave in. He gets tagged up left and right, down in 3rd place. Did he do enough to qualify for Dusseldorf?
Well, it's going to be really close for now, though. The action's on. Muzz here who finds elimination. Ritual gets tagged up big time. Sphinx looking for his moment, and he does it in the end. And that's going to be a nice, wonderful way to end the FNCS there.
That was more than just a wonderful way. Curve and Veno's complete and utter domination of a region. Congratulations for Curve, his first FNCS champion. We always remember our first, and Veno, probably the most important FNCS title, dominating a whole nother region. Muzz and Sphinx win that game, but see, Kelly and Vivid, we have a new champion.
Let's go, Muzz! Let's go, Muzz! That's right, baby! Let's go! Sorry, I had to get that out of the way. Sorry. Anyway, first off, really quickly, MDF, Jacob, thank you guys so much for the cast. Fantastic day. As they called out, it is true. Veno and Curve are your champions in NAC. A 4th title for Veno and a 1st for Curve. I mean, Kelly, Vivid, you know, we call Vivid called this out right last game. They came in today 10th place, and I think for most people, you probably look at the standings at that point, you're like, okay, yeah, like maybe they're probably not gonna get a 4th. They might could end like top 5 or something. But Kelly, Veno turned it on, and there was just game after game where he's solo clutching, getting, you know, at one point a 2nd place with 11 elims, a 2nd place with like 7 elims. He's just firing on all cylinders, and no one can stop him. No one. And on the back of this carry right now we're looking at Veno and Curve being FNCS champions.
I mean, you're saying no one can stop them, but we saw at the start of this game that a few players did try to stop the run of Curve and Veno. They tried, but they failed because Curve and Veno were prepared. They were aware. Because Veno, he's not just an incredible fragger. He's also incredibly smart and aware when it comes to Fortnite. When it comes to the mindset of other pro players, he has them downloaded. And so he knows what these players are going to do, and he knows exactly how to respond to it. Curve and Veno showing everyone that they deserve this spot. They deserve 1st place. And honestly, just watching them climb up the leaderboard, not necessarily through placements, Vivid, but to get elim after elim, to get so many. I honestly don't even know where they are at the end of the day. I'm excited to see our leaderboard.
Socials are going crazy, talking about, oh my gosh, Veno has entered his 2nd prime, his 3rd prime, his 4th prime. I mean, whatever you want to call it, the guy is absolutely popping off, and I couldn't agree more. I once regarded Veno as literally the best player in the world, and so did a lot of people, right? This was back in like chapter 3, chapter 4, around that era, where I remember VOD reviewing this guy and being like, oh my gosh, everything he does is just so perfect. And listen, I don't know what he did between day 1 and day 2. I don't know how good of sleep that he got overnight. But I got to tell you, he looked like that Veno once again, unstoppable. And, you know, we're giving a lot of credit towards Veno. Curve was right there with him up there, statistically speaking, always by his side. I mean, this was a duo competition, and they together just stomped everybody else.
I mean, it's
We were
crazy to
talking
think.
to Lev. Go ahead, Kelly. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say that it's crazy to think that a few weeks ago, this would have been a very different story because it was going to be Veno and Cold for a while. And it wasn't until Cold ended up playing with Rapid that Veno ended up picking Curve. So the fact that that is how this came to fruition and then they end up winning the major is just so amazing to me.
Yeah, I mean, if you're Cold, you're thinking, did I make a mistake? Did I make a mistake? But you know what? It is what it is. We were talking with Lev, and Lev was saying, you know, man, I'm so happy for Veno. You know, for a moment he forgot who he was, but today he remembers. Congratulations, Veno and Curve, FNCS champions. We can take a look at those standings because, man, they just put on an absolute clinic. Let's look at this. 727 points ahead of Agers and Ritual. Man, you know, again, congratulations. I do want to highlight this top 5 though as well. Shout outs to Agers and Ritual, Acorn and Bolts, Cold and Rapid, and Muzz and Sphinx, who show up in that last game to sneak their way into that top 5. That's why I'm freaking out. That's why I'm freaking out, Kelly.
And it's so funny too, because they've kind of just been like hiding in the shadows a little bit. They haven't necessarily been playing poorly, but it was these last few games where I start to see their names just a little bit more. They're staying alive, they're getting eliminations, and they're just playing what they want to play best. They didn't really worry about pop-off games. They didn't worry about making a showing for height. No, Muzz and Sphinx played what they did best. Whew. Vivid. This is just the top 10 though. We still have a few more teams to look at.
Absolutely, and that'll be the big question, right? Who actually went ahead and clinched up that qualification? I mean, Jacob was screaming, he was yelling, Jargo needed that game. He needed that game for sure. Jargo and Carillion, the solo clutch to sneak in to top 13 by just 2 points to knock Seek and Takiel to go ahead and qualify for Dusseldorf. We could also see up there Cole and Madden clutched up. They were hanging around 10th place throughout the entirety of Grand Finals. It kind of felt like bumped down to 12th, but still qualifying there. And then we got Reet and Cooper, who I think needed that game as well to go ahead and clinch up 372 points. So they did well. And there we have it, Zeke. That rounds up all of the NA teams that are going to be going to Dusseldorf from these grand finals.
And that's why you can't give up, right, Viv? That's exactly why in those final moments, you know, just think about it. Being in that situation, it's just you, the last game to make something happen, and Jargu does, right? And now he's going to keep his FNCS dream alive. He's going to be going to the summit. Oh my gosh, what a fantastic day here in NA. And you know, I just want to really quickly just double back to Curve and Veno. I think probably my favorite part of that game, Kelly and Vivid, was the fact that like in that last game, immediately Veno sniffed something out. He's like, you know what, this lobby is going to try and hunt me down. They're going to try and stop me from winning right here, right now. And they make a last second pivot.
I mean, it feels very appropriate that Veno would be able to sniff out Peterbot. I feel like they kind of have the same mindset when it comes into competitive FNCS. But more importantly, I want to talk about the numbers, Vivid, because we already looked at it. But to round things off, almost 50 eliminations just for Veno.
I mean, what was it? After game 10, we took a look at this, and Veno was on 37, Curve was on 31. So it's just still picked up so many eliminations, ended the day on 49. Had to go ahead and show this because just the individual performance. Obviously, Veno, standout player.
Yeah.
But usually when we see a duo that has so many eliminations, for whatever reason, it's kind of like one-sided. You know what I mean? One person will do is just finding all the eliminations that day, and the other one kind of, you know, is a couple 10, 20 behind, whatever. But Curve is literally like right there next to him. I mean, on the individual leaderboard, first and second place. What an incredible way to win in FNCS.
Well, I will say we have been hearing this discourse, especially when we shifted from trios to duos, that the setup, the makeup of a duo is a little different now. We don't really need an IGL and a fragger. We kind of need 2 fraggers and